Hi, everybody, and welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 34. I am your host, and with me, as always, is my teenage son, Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hi.
Well, we have switched up our order at Booster Juice, and I think we blew their minds because we changed it up. Mm-hmm. So what did you get this week?
Bananas away.
And I switched up, too. I tried the lemon berry, I think it is.
Mine basically tastes like the opposite of the one I usually get. Like, it's banana, but it has vanilla in it instead of chocolate, and then it's also got whey protein.
If it were the opposite, wouldn't it have to be something the opposite of banana?
No,
I don't know what the opposite of banana is. But
it's the opposite on the banana, like, banana, whatever.
Fair enough. Well, welcome back to episode 34. We will be getting into all the usual stuff: Dynamite, Impact, NXT.
There were some great things. There were some bad things.
For sure. One programming change slightly is there won't be any Ring of Honor in or any other wrestling business because if you didn't notice, I covered that earlier this week. I just did a quick solo mission, kind of messing around with a new laptop, a new program. So I put that out already to save us a bit of time here. So if you are someone that tunes in for that and you haven't noticed, there is a separate episode this week with a Ring of Honor coverage. That being said, leading into something I wanted to actually mention, we got feedback
really?
From an actual listener.
You got emailed?
I got it through a YouTube comment, actually.
Oh, like someone actually commented on the...
Yes. So someone...
On which one?
Known only as Music on last week's podcast. Basically, the gist was really likes the podcast. Specifically mentioned the Any Other Wrestling Business segment because we cover things that don't get covered very often, right? So I guess like Impact and ROH.
Cool.
So shout out to Music, whoever you are. That was really cool to hear because... I'm pretty sure people are tuning in mostly to listen to the Wednesday Night War reviews and stuff like that. So sometimes I wonder if anybody is listening to the sort of Impact and other things. So at least one person
so good
is.
To know, right? Yeah.
And honestly, as long as one person cares, I watch this stuff anyway. So I don't mind talking about it for even just, if it's just you, Music, you get this.
Right.
So Impact will be coming out to you today. So that was cool to hear. Maybe we'll get some more feedback since we do say if you contact us at this point, there's a good chance we're going to mention you on the podcast because we don't get many people contacting us. I don't know. What else was new this week? Another week of school's down for you. Mm-hmm. Snow has melted here. Nice sunny day, but we went out to go on our walk to the plaza to get our booster juice.
Yeah, it's my third booster juice this week.
It was colder than I anticipated, so I ended up having to come back for a jacket switch.
Yeah.
Minus 12 with the wind Celsius, so not that warm out, and I'm not a fan of wind, but all the snow is gone, so that's kind of exciting. I may put the snow shovels in the garage today.
Nice.
It's one of my chores coming up
later.
later.
It's been a booster juice week for me.
Yeah, you've had lots of booster juice. You got the braces tightened, so you had some tooth pain. So smoothies are nice to sort of, when you're suffering.
Maybe I'll go again tomorrow.
Maybe you will. Well, anyways, anything else you wanted to chat about here? I just wanted to make sure that we shouted out Music. Oh, and just in general, thanks to all our listeners. Again, I should give our contact information here at the beginning of the show while you're fresh and still listening. fnswrestling@gmail.com, FNS_wrestling_podcast on Instagram.
Yeah.
Gmail comes to me. Instagram goes to him over there.
And you can obviously comment on YouTube like this fella did.
Yep. Absolutely. And I will always reply to comments too at this point because we get so few. I will definitely reply to you if you comment, email, or anything, and I'm sure Jack will if it's on Instagram as well.
Yeah, and it's almost mid-March, so ringside, give me my package.
He's still waiting on a package.
Lucha Bros, Hangman, Walter, and other things.
Right. And Walter's the one that's holding you up? Is that the...
Yeah, that was they were like mid-February, the AEW figs, and then that one was late February, but then I guess a lot of people want the Walter still, so...
Yep.
It got pushed back to mid-March, so
because Walter is awesome.
Be either on its way or like it should be like on its way on March 15th, which is like around mid-March, or like
two days from now.
Nice, so like maybe 3-4 days.
Nice.
When it comes.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I figure we should move into some wrestling talk as we tend to do at this point in the show. So let us transition then into the first segment, which is our news and rumors. And we always lead off with the ratings, so we'll do that again. It's week. Do you know what week of the Wednesday Night War it is? Do you listen?
79.
No, 74. Week 74 of the Wednesday Night War. Guess what I'm going to say? I feel like I just copy and paste every week from... What am I going to say regarding the war? My first general...
Reflects the whatever thing.
So, no, but who won?
AEW.
Right. So it seems like I say the same thing every week. Saw AEW defeat WWE NXT in both viewership and ratings yet again. It's pretty much my lead
I
line
don't
every
remember
week.
if this is what it was exactly, but I've actually heard something that maybe they're not moving, or they're like rethinking moving,
Oh, really?
or like they're gonna try to counter program in some way.
Yeah, because I
'Cause
know
they
they would
can't
love
resist.
they would love to take any viewers they can away from AEW, right? They probably don't want to see the numbers of AEW unopposed.
Right. I think they're at least considering not moving or counter programming.
Yeah, like
with
moving
something
it but
else.
putting something else there to at least pull some
Even
audience
if it's like
away.
on the network.
Right. Because honestly, it may get to the point where AEW's numbers are similar or better than Raw, and I think that would just explode Vince's brain, possibly.
That would make sense to
Right.
my brain.
It would too for me, since we don't watch that one and we quite enjoy Dynamite. So
And we quite do not enjoy main roster. Although, from what I've seen, Raw at least looks more interesting with like the Hurt Business.
yeah,
I think the Hurt Business is actually more interesting than Roman Reigns right now.
yeah, the Roman thing I think maybe has gotten a bit stale.
It
I mean,
was
not
just
that we
cool
were watching it,
when
but
it started because it was so just shocking and different. Because like he
Yeah.
had been the John Cena for
exactly,
years,
it's like John Cena went
and now
heel.
it's just like it's cool, but like it's like he needs to change it up more.
And they also need to do a better job, I think. And again, we're talking as people who don't really
And
watch it
matches
that
are
much,
kind of the
but
same.
they sort of need to build people that are a realistic opponent for him, right? Because right now it just kind of feels like Io Shirai, where no matter who it is, I'm picking
They're
Roman.
throwing like Daniel Bryan and Edge at
Right.
him, and
And I don't think they have any chance of winning.
I think
so
he should beat Edge. And meanwhile, build up freaking Shinsuke Nakamura.
dream on.
Jesus.
Dream on, son.
I will.
So Wednesday's live post-revolution edition of Dynamite drew only 743,000 viewers on TNT, which is down 20.5% from last week.
But I think we can all figure out that one.
While the NXT live show drew 691,000 viewers on USA Network, which was down like basically the same. It was down 0.14%, so not even a full percent. In the 18 to 49 demographic that is so coveted, AEW drew a 0.32 rating, which is down 3%, while NXT drew a 0.18 in the same demo this week, which was down 10%. So the bottom line is it was a very close week. AEW Dynamite was down considerably from last week, but still won, but by a very slim margin this week. So another
Nice.
victory, but a pretty close victory for Dynamite this week.
Cool.
And what do you have for us?
I know you also had this, but
Stealing my news. Go ahead.
yeah.
Because my boy.
Andrade has requested WWE release and has since been denied.
Well, aren't they sort of saying that he's not? Aren't they saying he didn't demand his release or something? Or are they just
no,
saying
he
they're not
did.
giving
I
it to him?
I think they're not giving it to him.
Sounds
I'm
right.
pretty sure.
And then something kind of related to that I heard was that Andrade was one of the influencers for Dragon Lee and Roosh not signing with WWE. The idea is that, and again, this may more fit in the rumors category, that he sort of counseled them when they had the opportunity to come and was like, no, don't
come.
because look at what happens to us, sort of thing. Yeah, so interesting. I would love to see him go. He is, in my opinion, one of the best in-ring performers there are, who never gets to do anything.
I think if he leaves, he might either go to AEW or something, or maybe go back to Mexico, because he was fairly big there, I think.
I could see him anywhere. I mean, if anyone is a fan of in-ring wrestling, this guy's off the charts, in my opinion. He should be a huge star already, but I don't think that's ever going to happen in WWE, so he should go look somewhere else as far as if he can. I mean, we don't know what the case is, but
Add him to the list.
And you add another layer of complication too, because he's engaged to Charlotte at this point, right?
Right.
So that has to add something to the
Which
issue.
would make you think, why aren't they using him? Because he's good and he's also affiliated with Charlotte.
Right.
It just doesn't add up. But I guess,
how good of a heel power
Right.
couple could they be? Honestly,
Yeah.
fantastic. She
But-
could talk for him mostly. It would be excellent.
But add in the list of NXT call-up screw-ups.
Yep. Okay, I have one other sort of bullet to talk about, and that is the AEW Revolution. Reportedly, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, grossed over $6 million, and it's
Did really well.
probably going to get closer to 7 million once everything is sort of said and done. That would make it AEW's biggest pay-per-view to date. It would also be the best showing for a non-WWE pay-per-view in the United States since 1999.
Which would be WCW.
Right. So that's, a considerable, over a couple decades since somebody's done this well.
Right,
And
that's great for them. It's incredible.
Amazing. And scary for WWE, I imagine, right? And it should be noted that AEW will take in about 50% of that revenue.
Right, because they got split, I think, on BR Live and...
Yeah, exactly. They're distribution partners.
What else?
Are they on Fight, I think, too?
Fight, probably, yeah.
Yeah, so they split that up, but they're going to get a nice little take-home from that show.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep. Anything else for you?
My favorite person in the world, Mr. Adam Copeland, Edge, set to wrestle his first singles match on SmackDown for the first time in 11 freaking years.
Right.
Against Jey Uso. So,
but we can't get Andrade on TV.
Right. No, but yeah. But the thing is, for the first time in 11 years, it's just...
That's what I mean. That's why...
Gross.
And it's why I'm getting frustrated a bit with AEW doing it too, because and it's me personally. There's lots of people that I'm sure are going to love it, and that's fine. But for me personally, part of my excitement for AEW is that I'm going to see wrestlers I haven't seen a ton before.
Right. And
I'm going to see fresh matchups. I'm going to see young guys.
It's not even like AEW's a company that's been around a while for. So it's like, oh, Christian's returning. No, he's debuting at your age.
Yes. Hey, he's older than me, okay? He is 3 years older than I am. He's a 47-year-old man.
He's 47 years old, debuting in a company that's
also in considerably better shape than me, but that's
and he's debuting in a company that's a small fraction of his age.
Right. So again, I'm sure it is. A lot of people are going to like it, and it may draw ratings. But for me personally, it's the exact opposite of what I want in AEW.
Apollo Crews versus Big E at Fastlane for the Intercontinental title.
Right, and I know what's going on with Cruz, and I heard a chunk of one of his promos with his new accent, which it's just kind of funny that you speak without one for so long and so many years.
He's got an accent?
Yeah, now he suddenly has an accent.
I have to check that out.
So I like that they've turned him heel. I like that they're trying to give him a bit of personality, but I don't know.
But it's weird, because I thought they were going to push Big E, but now it seems like he's just been doing nothing with the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, right?
And... so I think he's going to be dropping it.
In my mind, this is the classic, and this is just me saying this, but Vince saw what everybody wanted, right? And everyone's so pumped because Big E's going to get a push and he's finally going to get into the main event spot. And then Vince sitting back there going, I'm going to tell you who you like, right?
Right. Just nothing much.
Nope, nothing much at all. I have nothing else for news. What about you?
Another title match, but this one's for... next week's SmackDown. Sasha Banks is defending against any guesses. Give you 3 guesses.
Carmella.
Nope.
I don't even know who's on which show, so this is going to be hard for me. It's not Bianca Belair, because that's being pushed, I'm sure, to Mania. I don't know. That
doesn't count as guess.
I got no other guesses.
Your favorite.
Who else?
My favorite.
Who else is
Nia
there?
Jax.
Nia Jax.
She's cross-brand. She's technically on Raw, but she's
so then
tag champion.
There's a decent chance Sasha will be hurt for Mania. Well, they'll have to replace her with somebody,
yeah,
I guess.
And she will be out along with Asuka, because Asuka may potentially be missing WrestleMania.
Right.
As she's lost a tooth and is suffering from a concussion after a Shayna Baszler stiff kick gone wrong.
That's too bad, because Asuka's awesome, and if she misses WrestleMania, that's a big payday for them. That's exposure for them. That's a bad one to miss, obviously. I
think... it's not even her fault, but the Raw Women's title under her reign has really resulted in a drop in prominence for the title.
Again, they just don't build contenders. It seems like across the board.
And they just don't care. There's Shayna Baszler's on the roster, but why would they do that?
Here's our weekly Shayna Baszler love.
Why would they do that? And Bianca Belair's on SmackDown, and I think they're doing that, but
it looks like they are, unless they have her lose.
But Shayna Baszler, but she's right there, but...
Do you think that... I'm wondering if Belair and Sasha will headline one of the 2 nights.
That would be nice.
Just because I feel like Roman's not losing, right? And I don't think Lashley's losing. So you got to have some sort of feel-good babyface moment, I think, on one of the shows, don't you?
Yeah.
So Bianca Belair winning her first championship would be cool.
Although I think if Drew McIntyre is the one to face Lashley, then there is a little room for concern there.
Yes,
because I think there's one, they can either be smart, which has never happened in the history of anything.
First time ever.
And have Lashley retain and look awesome. Or they can do what I think is a very WWE thing to do and give Drew McIntyre a proper version of his moment.
I feel
that was supposed to happen last year.
I feel like that's the initial plans going into it, but now I think, and I don't know, this is just me, but I look at Lashley with that title and I look at that faction and they are actually really cool and he's really cool. And
Yeah,
maybe
but Vince doesn't know that.
that
Vince
might be
wouldn't
true.
know.
That's me hoping is that they go,
Shayna
wow,
Baszler's cool, but look at what she's doing right now.
we should give Lashley a bigger run with this is what I'm
Right.
hoping, but probably not.
Yeah,
Anything else?
I think they should, because you said he was kind of getting cheered, or like you
I think he
people
would
like
get
him.
cheered. I think if they had crowds for, and they will for Mania, right? I think Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley, there's a decent chance both of them get cheered.
I think then they need to really make Lashley hateable, because I don't think he should get cheered.
But I think crowds are
don't
just
think it
that
would
way
work.
now, right? Like they just, if he's doing cool stuff, they're gonna cheer. And Bobby Lashley looks
Which is the
incredible
issue,
with
because
that
then
belt.
heels are supposed to suck, I
Right.
guess.
I
Then,
don't
like,
know.
right?
Yeah, where do you go
or
from
maybe
there,
the
right?
crowd would at least be smart and boo him on purpose.
And it might just be the crowd's just so willing to cheer anything right now because they haven't been around in a
Right.
year. So who knows?
But I think because I know you said you do this, like, just be smart, just boo him, even if you like him.
Right? Like you get to a level when you go to shows now where, especially when we go to indie shows, right? Even though I love the heel performer, I'm still going to boo and yell at him because that's what's best for him. That's what he's trying to do, right? If he's a heel and I really like him, I'm going to
Which
boo
is what
and yell
I
at
think
him and scream
people
at him.
should do for Lashley. I just think it works
Because
better.
regardless of what I think, I should be like, if I want to help this wrestler because I love him, he's trying to get booed. He's trying to get the crowd to hate him, so I'm going to help him or her. Right? So
Or
that's my
if
attitude
it's
now.
Shotzi Blackheart and she's a face, you boo her.
Sometimes I get caught up in the moment and I do go with just who I like and don't like, but I
Yeah.
try to do what they want me to do, right?
And I boo Shotzi Blackheart.
You do.
Even though I've never seen her live, but if I do, I will boo her.
Uh,
So
and-
bad.
Anything else for you in news and rumors? No?
Other than, I hate you, Shotzi Blackheart.
Okay, so we will ignore his irrational hatred of Shotzi Blackheart and move
Which is
into
not irrational. It is very rational.
our first review of the Wednesday Night Wars this week, and that is our weekly AEW Dynamite review. So let's do that now.
Yeah, it's the most rational thing ever. Okay. So we open with a great choice, I think, for an opener. It's Matt Jackson, Ray Phoenix.
And to bring you behind the curtain, folks, we switched up the order of watching
Yeah,
things
we
this
actually
week.
watched NXT first because I didn't want to get spoiled on.
He was very much looking
Title
forward to the
matches.
title match, so we watched. And
But
now
then when we were done, I was unhappy greatly.
so it's interesting because now
Overall.
this is the one that's fresh in my mind because we watched it last night, whereas normally we're reviewing
Which
Dynamite.
is nice for me.
It is nice for me as well. Just
And
a
now
little bit of a difference.
we know how the other person feels.
Yes, that's right. We've developed empathy for each other's situations.
How do you feel having to have waited a few days and then give your opinions on NXT?
It'll be fine. We'll see how it goes. But let's get into Dynamite. Sorry, I cut you off. It is a good-looking opener,
Yeah,
so
I
tell
do
us
want
about
to
it.
take the chance to say it is nice that we have the option now because,
Yes.
I mean, AEW looks more interesting next week, so probably we'll just watch that again. But, the fact that I was able to say, hey, NXT looks more interesting, let's watch that.
And at the risk of repeating myself, now that I can watch stuff that I pay for when
it's
I
not
want
even
to.
the network that did it. It's like we had to watch. We're still watching on cable, which is nice, but it's not even on the network channel.
No, it's not.
It's on something.
It's on the score, I think, up here. Yeah,
But
sorry.
anyways, that
Go
is
ahead.
nice to have options.
It is. Choice is what life is all about.
So we start off with your routine holds and counters. A rope step Hurricane Rana to the outside by Phoenix, which is pretty cool. A springboard headbutt, and then a springboard arm drag to the outside by Phoenix. So it's I think it was a springboard headbutt in the ring, right? And then
Yep.
yeah. A tope con hilo afterwards by Phoenix. A super kick to the back of the head by Phoenix after a kick out by. I remember. I should have written this more specifically. I can't remember who kicked out. I think it was Matt Jackson, but I don't know. Chop exchange, they kind of do a weird thing, and they're both standing on the second rope. And so they just chop each other a bit. And Matt counters a Frankensteiner into an avalanche powerbomb. Phoenix is sent into the ring apron. Tope Atomico into the ring for 2 by Matt. He had slingshots and...
Yep.
Yeah, that. Matt rolls through when they're trying to pin each other, and then he applies a sharpshooter, but Phoenix is able to get a rope break. The springboard heel kick by Phoenix, and then a top rope drop kick follows. Then a roll through cutter by Phoenix. Tilt-a-whirl into a weird facebuster kind of thingy by
Right.
Phoenix. I have seen that in like the W games, and I always thought it was kind of a weird move.
Like, was that the spinning? It's like a spinning submission, right? And then he turns it into a slam.
Like he kind of has him over his back.
Yeah.
And,
So it looks like it's a submission. Then he starts spinning around, and then he kind of releases him for a slam.
Yeah.
It was kind of interesting.
It's interesting.
Yep.
Matt avoids the rope walk kick. Slingshot destroyer by Matt, and then he does another on the outside.
Yeah, just because one destroyer isn't enough, let's hit one on the floor right after, which was pretty crazy.
Phoenix avoids the count out nearly. Pac kind of like helps, pumps him up a bit to get him up. Elbow drop for 2 by Matt, and sharpshooter again, but Phoenix again gets the rope break. Phoenix goes for like kind of a sliding drop kick, and inadvertently takes out Nick Jackson, who is at ringside.
Yep.
When Matt gets out of the ring, he just super kicks Pac, who sold it like a champ.
Because Pac, I thought it was really cool, even though he's saying nothing and he's not in the ring. As Nick accidentally gets kicked, right, Pac just kind of walks over and is just lurking there, kind of just standing there looking at him, looking all intense.
You know he's amused.
And of course, so then Matt comes out, he kind of sees this, right, and it looks like Pac may be about to attack the sort of down Nick, so he comes out and super kicks
You know Pac
so
is amused. You just know it.
I thought that was a cool little segment. Pac just looked awesome, just standing there staring at this guy.
So Matt flips out of a German suplex and hits a super kick. He ducks Phoenix's like the rope rebound heel kick and hits another super kick, but Phoenix kips up and hits an enziguri, and they're both down.
That was a pretty
strike
cool
exchange,
sequence.
and Phoenix counters, a tombstone into that weird driver finisher with the knee for the win, and Phoenix just gets a sudden win right there.
Yeah, it's that like knee strike and a sit out tombstone, I guess, kind of for the win.
No, kind of like Rikishi driver, like.
Yeah, a little bit. I really enjoyed this match. I complain sometimes when companies, WWE, make singles matches between future tag opponents, when they do that multiple combinations before the match. But if they're going to be this much fun, then I don't really have an issue. Phoenix is incredible. There were a couple clunky parts near the middle, I thought. The final however many minutes of this were thoroughly entertaining. I really like the result, and I really like that it was basically a clean win, right? Which I have like, take notes, WWE. It's okay for one of them to cleanly pin the other one. Like, Matt Jackson's career is fine taking a pin to Phoenix. So I like this match.
No, Matt Jackson just got buried.
He's fired.
I think he's going to
I thought it was
fall into obscurity.
A very fun opener, and I don't know if there's going to be a bad Phoenix match. So I think the Nick Jackson Phoenix one was better, but this was a good match too.
And I think I really want Nick Jackson versus Pac before the title match. I think we need to get the other half of this.
I would love to see that. Again, I normally have issues with that, but not if it's putting those two against each other.
We haven't seen that match before, so.
Absolutely.
Great choice for an opener. There's some great exchanges here, and this was a good and just a simple way to build to the tag match that I'm already excited for.
Yep.
I don't know why SCU are ranked number 1, because they do tell us when they're sitting up in the crowd, but I guess maybe they're winning on dark, and maybe
they must be.
Maybe AEW want to speed up that breakup storyline.
Right, because next time SCU loses, they're done, is basically what they've said.
I'm surprised they're getting their title shot, because usually you have to be ranked number 5 to get one.
That's right.
But
they're too high in the rankings to get a shot at this point. They've ascended too far.
Even if they were winning on dark, I'm just bewildered how they are ranked number 1.
Yeah, there's a few times the rankings are surprising me, so clearly they're counting stuff that I'm not watching.
Right, it's just like, I wonder if they'll probably count Dark Elevation, and then that'll just be even more confusing.
Yeah, it's just a way for them to manipulate the rankings, which I guess is fine.
They said something was on Dark Elevation. I can't remember what it was, and I'm checking now. Guess who's ranked number 5?
Who?
Death Triangle.
In the tag division?
Yeah.
Perfect, right? Of course they are. This is our running joke. If you're ranked 5th, you get a title shot.
Here at least they won the Battle Royal thingy, but like,
if you can't be the number 1 contender in AEW, you want to be the number 5 contender. Right. Don't mess around with 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, because you get nothing. But like, 5th, you're ready.
Yeah. Like, I feel bad for FTR and Jurassic Express, because they're like 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, they'll get no attention. And you got no shot there.
Jericho and MJF, well, they already got a title shot, but they ain't getting another one.
They got to lose a couple matches and drop down to 5th. I mean, you got to work with the structure that's...
Right, they got to take the spot from Death Triangle.
Work with the system that's there.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so yeah, that's a good way to start the show.
For sure.
Next, we get a John Moxley and Eddie Kingston promo. That's great.
Sitting
Love
by
it.
a fire.
Yeah. Kingston talks about why he tried to save Mox. He talks about the last time he had that kind of panic, which was like
Going to jail.
yeah,
Yep.
or like going to court because he did something jail worthy.
And they were threatening to send him to prison. Yes.
He calls out Omega, kind of rants on Omega there. And then they were like trying to explain the bomb, and they think Omega bought a crappy bomb, and then they kind of joke that Impact paid for the bomb.
Yeah, which was
I
kind of
thought
funny,
was
right?
awesome.
And they're just like, "Oh, Impact got it. That makes sense."
I thought that was really funny.
Yep.
And they kind of argue towards the end, but it's kind of like a friendly, kind of like their friends argument.
Yeah, it was for sure.
Moxley still wanted to see a bomb, and if they're gonna like hype a weapon, kind of, they should use it.
Yeah, Moxley was basically saying to Kingston, like, you could have gotten out there a bit faster, right? And Kingston was saying, like, you know me, I've got to get my look on point. Like, what did he say? My 1990s, whatever.
Right, and he's got to get past Butcher and Blade.
Because he's like, I know you got to get your Timberlands on and you got to get your eyebrows a certain way. It was clearly two friends sort of just taking shots at each other here. And it was funny, I thought. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else there?
Good segment. No.
I thought this was as good as it kind of could be, right? Because they're in a tough spot where it's like you guys have to sort of explain this massive botch that happened at our most successful pay-per-view. So if anybody's going to do that, you've got the two of the best talkers in the world, right? Trying.
Maybe
so
the two best.
I thought they did a good job. I like the dynamic between the two. They're obviously friends, and the banter between them was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, unlike Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, I don't have a hard time believing that these guys are longtime friends.
There's clearly chemistry between them. Kingston's story kind of makes sense, right? He's saying that basically, regardless if the explosion happened or not, I came out there thinking it was going to. Like, I was willing to sacrifice myself for my friend. So he still... It was unfortunate it happened, but he's right. Like the fact is, he thought his life was in danger, and he came out
Even
to try and
after
save
that
it.
I Quit match they had.
So they're blaming Kenny. Seems to be the route they're going here. So this was both serious in the beginning, right, with Kenny talking about his feelings about it and why he did it and stuff, and then it sort of transitioned to funny and silly at the end. I found it entertaining, and I'm wondering, is this like these guys could be a tag team now, even, right?
I think they've got a great kind of like similar Ciampa Thatcher dynamic.
Right.
I think this is a great team.
And it gives Mox something to do because he can't just be in the main event picture all the time, right?
And it gives something meaningful for Kingston to do. And Kingston's kind of a babyface. Holy crap.
And these two guys basically improvising promos together would be super entertaining, I think. And
I can't believe they made Kingston like somewhat of a babyface here.
And we get that sort of reinforced later in the show, right? Anyways, we'll get there with members of his group doing different things now. Mm-hmm. So we'll get there. Yeah, it seems
I am kind of happy about him ditching Butcher and Blade.
Yeah.
Because like they're not bad, but I just don't find them that interesting.
Yeah, but we'll get to that. But yes, there have been some changes made. So I mean, I'd still think maybe Mox is going to take a break for a bit, but he couldn't because they have to sort of deal with this. Like, he can't just be gone from a non-explosion. Some sparklers went off, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I thought this was entertaining. Mm-hmm. For what they were assigned, what they had to deal with, this was probably about as good as it was going to get, I think, because it's an awkward spot for them to be in to explain this major botch at the end.
Next we get Cody Rhodes versus Seth Gargis.
You find Gargis so funny for some reason. I don't know. I guess
it's
I'm not.
It sounds like porpoise. What's a porpoise again?
That's a funny word, like a dolphin and stuff.
Right, and it just sounds like a name for a weird animal. But
well, he's a super impressive wrestler, clearly from this. So get used to him being a household name.
Yeah, so let's cover this match.
Order your Gargis t-shirts now, folks.
Forearm running power slam by Cody and a figure 4 leg lock for the win.
This was like a minute, right? Basically,
less than
pure squash.
Yeah. So Tony Schiavone tries to cut a post-match interview, and I just wrote, let's talk about the shoulder, because it's literally what they said.
And notice Cody has to have a match too, right? He's the fightingest guy, man. He wrestles every week, whether he's injured or not. Ugh. Sorry, there's my Cody bias coming through, folks, if you love him.
And then it gets awesome.
Yes, it does.
Hell yeah, Penta's here, and you better believe he's looking awesome in a suit, because he can.
He did. He looked super cool.
And he gets cool. This guy he looked like he was doing like the Spanish commentary or whatever.
He is the Spanish announcer.
I'm on AEW's website, so wait, I'll get his name now. Alex something, yeah.
Got it.
Alex Abrahante. I probably butchered that.
We should have just gone with Alex.
Yeah. But so he's using him as like a translator here, it was really good. So I'm just going to say Penta says it, even though it's like
Yeah,
the guy
coming through a translator for the most part.
Penta says he's 1,000 times better than Cody, and if Cody's the Prince of Pro Wrestling, he's the Lord of Lucha Libre,
Good
which
line.
is a way cooler nickname than
It's a
Prince
good
of Pro
line.
Wrestling. So
Yep.
you suck, Cody. Penta says Cody lost a ladder match because if you were to pick someone who lost a ladder match, probably be Cody, because Cody got shoved off the ladder before Sky won. So like, I think that actually makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
If you were to like remember the North American title ladder match that Adam Cole won? Like
Yep.
I would say Ricochet lost that because
Yeah.
like
He
if
was
you
the last
had
one to
pick
have a
someone,
clear shot, right?
right, and he was the one who kind of gotten beat
Yep.
off for the win. Like so, if you had to choose someone,
Yep.
And then Penta says if they face off, Cody would lose more than the match, and he said Cody's lucky Penta didn't target his arm more because then he wouldn't be able to hold his baby girl.
Oh, and you can't take shots at the unborn child. So that's
the
snaps
Rhodes
Cody.
genes, yeah, and the refs keep them apart.
Yep.
Match was nothing, so yeah.
Yeah, it was a squash. I got nothing to say. But the post-match stuff I really liked a lot. First of all, babyface Cody got interrupted, which is always good. He didn't get a chance to speak, right? Until heel Cody shows up. I don't have much interest.
Right.
And I thought Penta looked awesome. He's showing some of his amazing heel personality. This is like, if you watch, when we get there, Lucha Underground Season 2. That's the season of Dark, Pentagon Dark, and he's amazing. So I think this guy's special because he can't speak the language. Or barely speak the language. He's wearing a mask that covers the vast majority of his face, yet somehow...
And he's got face paint underneath.
Somehow this heel, his personality still comes through to me, and I think he's an amazing heel.
He's just kind of like smirking like the whole time,
Yeah.
which I thought he just looked cool.
He's just he's got a very cool presence, and again, he's not speaking a language I understand, and I can't really see his face to pick up anything, and I'm still captivated by the guy. So I think this was a really cool segment. I would love for him to destroy Cody in a match, but I imagine that won't happen, but you never know.
Mm-hmm. I thought Penta was amazing here. I thought he looked a hella badass in that suit. He looked amazing, the mask, and then just like the suit. He looked cool because he was like just kind of like smirking or like whatever. And the translator guy was so cool. He looked like a legit like top tier heel here. They need to do this always. I think they need to get the Alex guy off of commentary and just use him permanently in this role because I think this was awesome.
Even if he doesn't want to be, I think Penta should just make him as part of his heel thing, right?
Yeah.
Just through intimidation and fear, this guy could keep being
Although
his translator.
the Alex guy seemed to be like also
He was into it,
right?
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know, but Penta is I think way better than Phoenix because he can wrestle and so can Phoenix, but Phoenix can't do this. I don't.
Phoenix
think.
is superior in the ring, I think, by a fair margin. But Penta, the overall package, his ability to do this kind of stuff is definitely, as a heel, especially.
I think this match would be good, and we are getting it next week.
Yep.
But I fear the inevitable.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they're gonna
maybe they will do the right thing.
Well, we'll find out, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chuck Taylor promo there in an arcade, and Cassidy's just not playing a game.
So he's sitting at like a racing game. I think it was a Fast and the Furious, and he's like too lazy to even put in the money and do it. So he's just kind of almost taking a nap, which I thought was pretty funny.
Chuck wants one more match because the last one was kind of like unfair.
Yep.
And if they lose, he'll be Miro's butler forever, which is a dumb thing to do.
It's another one of those negative free rolls I hate, right? Where I lose something if I lose to you, but I gain nothing if I beat you.
Right.
So I don't understand the logic. I don't like it.
Chuck says Cassidy had the idea to put arcade games around ringside for a match, and then they'll break the games, and Cassidy's like, and we'll break you.
Yeah, so Cassidy gets that one line basically at the end.
Right.
I don't know. It wasn't very long. Miro and Sabian didn't speak, which I think is a better move right now. I do kind of wish this feud was over already. And imagine this is going to be the blow-off match, right? Unless they need to do a third and decisive one, because it looks like the baby faces would win here, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But what I imagine here is Kip and Miro lose, and Miro ends their relationship, I would think, and Miro starts to move on to something else. I think that's what's best for Miro, because he's the one they signed to be a star here, right? No offense to your boy Kip Sabian, but I think Miro needs to get away. The match could be interesting, right? It's kind of a unique, I'm sure it's like a street fight or whatever, so it could produce some interesting stuff, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it has potential to be good because they have a knack for these kind of matches, like the parking lot brawl and the bunkhouse brawl or whatever.
All of those have been entertaining.
Right. And there's been some other ones that have been good. So, but you gotta figure your best friends are gonna win here because Chuck Taylor's not gonna permanently do the Butler shtick.
Right? I think you're sort of telegraphing the end of this match by making that stipulation, but we'll see.
Yeah. So next we get Sting, and he's wearing a long sleeve shirt like an old person, kinda, and I wonder why.
What?
Because he's old. He's wearing like a long sleeve shirt instead of like the trench coat and whatever. He just looks like a grandpa.
Old people wear long sleeve shirts?
I don't know. He just looks like a grandpa.
Okay.
He looks like a freaking grandpa.
He could be.
Sting puts over Darby. Don't do that. And talks about the street fight. I mean, don't talk about Darby. Don't put him over, but don't let Sting put him over.
Okay.
Lance Archer comes out and says they deserve more time, I think. He didn't need the ladder match to prove himself, and he'll take much more than time.
Yes.
So I guess he's complaining about TV time.
And he's a heel again.
And magically, right?
He's their big show.
Yeah. And Shivani asks Archer to leave, and Archer leaves with a warning, and the segment's basically over after that.
I thought Archer wasn't bad here, actually. I usually have some issues when he talks, but I
thought it was Cage.
I didn't think he was bad.
Until he walked out.
I have no desire to see Sting wrestle. That is not changing, even though I did enjoy that match. It was good at Revolution. I liked it a lot.
It was also a sad match.
At the end of the day, he's still sucking up time from people I'd much rather see.
Right, I just don't... Archer was fine, but I really did not love or care for this.
No, Archer being a heel to me makes sense again, but again, it's sort of a quick flip with no explanation, right?
Right, and it almost just doesn't make sense after he was a face, kind of.
It's very sudden and it's very Big Show, right? Like one show to the next, you never know what he's gonna be.
Right.
Yep.
Next we have a QT Marshall and Lee Johnson interview as Lee Johnson's facing All Ego Ethan Page up next.
Mm-hmm.
QT says emotions got the best of him at Revolution, and he says Lee Johnson's going to pick up another win tonight. I doubt it. So next we got Ethan Page versus Lee Johnson, so singles debut for Ethan Page. They said he requested a singles match after his debut at Revolution in the ladder match.
Yep.
So dropkick by Lee Johnson after nothing of note. They're kind of like just like there's leapfrogs and other things, and Page breaks a hold and gets a cheap shot, kind of like the ref is trying to separate them, and he hits it.
Oh, you're right into the match. Basically, I thought Page's promo was strong, but that's no surprise. That's what he does. Sorry, Go ahead.
Back elbow and a neck breaker post commercial break by Johnson. Blue Thunder Bomb for 2 by Lee Johnson. Page counters a superplex into an avalanche, kind of body slam, drops him, and then drops down the apron and comes in with a rope step cutter for 2, which is like a very not him move.
It was kind of smooth though. It looked kind of fluid for sure.
Johnson blows out his leg on a leapfrog, just kind of sells it, and then pump kick by Page as the ref is checking on him, and then a release Razor's Edge by Page.
Right.
For the win.
Yeah.
And your phone's going off.
Yeah, it is.
And Ethan Page gets the win. He kind of attacks him after the match, and Dustin Rhodes makes the save, and QT's just standing there, and then he walks away.
Yeah, QT does nothing. Dustin had to come in. I liked the match, and I think it was kind of the perfect use of Johnson. He can have a competitive match, get in a few cool moves, but lose.
Yeah.
And I thought Ethan Page looked pretty good, and his heel work is excellent, right? And I think I read that they brought him in because they feel like they need more heels, and he is a very strong heel, and he can cut an awesome promo. I don't think he's ever going to be a champion or in the main event sort of scene, but I think he can be like that next layer down sort of heel. Mm-hmm. So I thought the match was fine and served its purpose. You?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was fine. I think Page should have maybe gotten a little more offense, maybe looked a little better, but It was still fine. Next we get Hangman Page quick segment, which is nice.
From one page to another page. They need to pay 2 pages, 2 cages, 2 Cassidys. Maybe 3 pages. DDP's there occasionally.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There has to be another one.
And I make fun of Vince because he won't allow people, but like Vince McMahon. But it kind of makes sense now when you see what's happening here, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if there were to be Hangman versus Ethan Page match, I already just type Hangman. So.
Yes. Yeah.
But or like there's the Matt Jackson, Matt Sydal. So there's that as well.
Yep, lots of duplicates in this company so far.
So, and the only reason the first names would be annoying, because, like, you know, like, the Jacksons, if they're teaming, I'd have to use their first names.
Right.
Same for the Sydals. So, anyways, Hangman has spent Hardy's money on whiskey, saddle, and a lawnmower he's currently riding, and the Dark Order ride the lawnmower to get ice cream, and poor Five can't fit on.
Yeah, so apparently on the Being the Elite, where Dark Order are hilarious, I haven't seen it, but apparently
I watched like one episode.
Part of the gimmick is that they sort of exclude Five from things. Like, he's the sort of low man in the Dark Order.
Oh, poor Five.
One thing I wanted to point out, and I think I'm right. Do you get why he's riding a lawnmower?
I remember something with lawnmowers.
Because remember, I'm pretty sure remember how we always read the little nameplate of Page when he comes out? Because there's always, I think one of them was something about saving up money to get a new lawnmower. So I think this is a subtle like callback to that, which is cool.
One segment with lawnmowers?
Well, yeah, and Hardy has used lawnmowers in the final deletion. But I remember
there being some segment there's like lawnmowers on the stage or something.
Yeah, there was, but I think this is what they're doing. Page made a
know.
reference to needing to buy a lawnmower, so now he's got one. Sorry, did you summarize the whole thing? I can't remember.
Yeah, wasn't much.
I thought this was funny. It makes me like the stipulation a little bit more, because watching Page like spend Matt Hardy's money frivolously every week, I think could be really interesting. And the Dark Order have this interesting vibe right now, unlike anyone else I can think of in wrestling, right? They're like adorable and amusing,
right,
but they're still believable.
It's an interesting change, because they weren't like this.
And they're still believable in the ring, though. That's the thing, right? They're not just a comedy act. They can still really go in the ring.
I think that's kind of what I remember seeing it in like the Christian photo shoot. Yeah, Christian Edge, I don't know, but like Edge and Christian were kind of like that back in the day.
Yeah, and I really like the dynamic between Page and the Dark Order. Like,
I
still
love it. It's
really
funny.
Cool. So I like this just fine, actually.
Yeah, I really liked it. Just for a short little segment.
Hardly any matches in this first hour, eh?
Yeah.
Really?
So we got Christian Cage, not Kenny Omega interrupts.
Thank you, Kenny.
And
Appreciate
he's back to using his old like version of his theme, where like, do you remember like when he debuted like the guitar and then there's like, because you know how like it used to start with like right away there's the lyrics, and now like
there's the music first,
right? And so there's no more Justin Roberts intro, which makes me very mad, because I love that so much.
That's true. It was missing. I didn't even notice until you said that, and I do love that.
I was so sad.
But we got definite confirmation on the tunnels, right? Because the dancers came out of the right-hand tunnel, which is the babyface tunnel, and Omega came out the left tunnel.
Omega used to come out of the right tunnel, though, like when he was doing that entrance. But it was like in the tournament. Yeah. When he was like not fully heel.
Right. I like to know that the dancers are baby faces, because they could be evil dancers, but now we know for sure.
They disrespected the Lucha Bros. That's not face behavior.
Okay, they came out of the right-hand tunnel. That's a baby face. Anyways, carry on. And I also made it. Sorry, I said carry on.
Archer came out of the babyface tunnel earlier.
Well, because he's maybe not full heel yet. And also, another note I had here was there was a lot of pyro for Kenny's entrance this week, and I was wondering, is that like a compensation for anything?
Mention that, yeah.
There was more pyro on his entrance than there was at the end of Revolution. I firmly believe that.
I noticed that you know that.
Yeah.
So according to Don Callis, he's now Omega's now King of the Deathmatch.
Right. Which I like as a heel thing, right? Like, you won one match and you're the king.
That was like not really a death match.
Yeah. That too, yeah.
Callis said they took away Mox's heroic death and Kingston's heroic moment, which I think is kind of true. Because like I think it would have been a really cool moment for Kingston.
It would have.
Otherwise, but and then they say they benefited more from a real than a real explosion, because they kind of got to mess with Mox and Kingston, and they looked like idiots. Yep. Which I thought was funny, because it is kind of what you were suggesting.
Yeah, what they're saying kind of makes sense, yeah.
Omega said it would be a dream to get rid of Mox for good, but it is just as good to know he embarrassed Mox in front of the world. Omega said they didn't expect Kingston, but it was even funnier. Kingston then walks out. Cal says Kingston always screws up when he is on the cusp of success. Obviously he was also referring to their time in Impact.
Yep.
Cal says you'll give Kingston 10 seconds to leave. A timer goes off, and Omega and Callis, like, they kind of go in the middle.
They mock the ending of,
Right, which I thought was really funny.
So Callis climbs on top of Omega in the middle of the ring.
And then Omega mocks Kingston, talks about the last time he felt that was like he mentions the fake detention flashback.
Right.
Omega dares Kingston to hit him, and he does. Good Brothers attack. Mox makes the save. Christian Cage comes out as the brawl ensues. Omega gets up in the face-off. Omega tries to attack. Callis saves him barely from a kill switch. Cage picks up the AEW title, of course, stares at it, leaves it, and drops it in the middle of the ring.
Gross.
To stare at it more.
So he's in the title hunt right off the bat, obviously.
Yay! It's like they knew what I wanted.
I thought this was too long, for sure, but it featured talented talkers, so it made it a little less painful for sure.
But Kingston didn't talk, so that's...
True. AEW had to address the end of Revolution, and this was them doing that.
I think they've done, like, with this in the promo earlier, they've done a decent
job, because it's a hard, like, what are you going to do, right? Like, there's no way to look really good coming out of this. And I like Callis's win-win explanation, right? Like, basically, either Mox dies when it explodes, and if he survives, they look like idiots. So it was kind of Callis is like, it doesn't matter to us. It's win-win, right? If it did work the way it was supposed to, then he's dead and gone forever. And if it didn't work, at least he and now as a bonus, Kingston look like idiots. So I think that's a pretty decent.
Yeah.
And Callis is good on the mic, so he does a good job of delivering it, I thought. But it was a very long. Lot of talking in this first hour.
Right. We finally get some more in-ring action, which is Britt Baker, DMD, Nyla Rose, and Maki Ito.
This is your first Maki Ito
versus
sighting,
Ryo
right?
Mizunami, Hikaru Shida, and the person I couldn't remember who was in this match, Thunder Rosa.
Right.
So Ito does her singing entrance, which I thought was really amusing, even more so when she's still singing as the faces come to attack the heels. So
I love that too.
They're all brawling.
She just lets them. She lets her team be outnumbered because she has to finish her song. Right.
She's just still singing, even a little after the music stops, which I thought was quite amusing.
It's my favorite thing I've seen her do now in 2 matches I've seen her.
Right. Shida versus Ito to start. Corner punches by Ito. Ito tries to flip off Shida, but gets tossed. Mizunami tags in. Corner toss by Mizunami and a corner clothesline. Rosa and Rose tag in. That's a nightmare.
More similar names.
Vicky Guerrero's got a great t-shirt, by the way.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Kicks by Rosa. Notice the sarcasm on the shirt.
Yes, we did. Noted.
Vicky Guerrero causes a distraction, and Rose takes control. Mizunami and Rose are legal post-commercial break. Shida and Baker tag in. Baker stuck in the corner, and she suplexes Ryo Mizunami into Baker, and her feet kind of hit Baker, which I thought was interesting. Headbutt on Shida by Ito, which looked questionable. She then needs a lariat from Mizunami. Rosa tags in and dives onto the pile. I could see like Shida and someone else
as they
just
form,
ran.
Like running over to get her, like, come on, we're supposed to all be huddled together in this corner. Hurry up.
It looked so bad.
Yeah.
Ito is legal and hits the world's slowest tornado DDT for 2.
She really did.
Yeah.
I don't think she's good in the ring. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think so.
But anyways.
And I've only seen 1 match though. Rosa counters a Rebel cheap shot and hits a driver on Ito for the win. Rosa, Shida, and Mizunami win. I was trying to remember the team there. Baker attacks Rose as Shida and Mizunami are held back. I remember they said like, Baker's so vicious or whatever, and then like vicious vixen.
Right.
Thoughts? She applies lockjaw. Sorry.
I thought it was a decent little sprint. There was definitely some sloppiness. Ito has not impressed me, and I let me tell you, man, because I listened to...
It's difficult because I loved her entrance, but then, like, that means I have to see a match.
She is an internet darling, so I don't know if I'm just missing something or maybe these haven't been her best, but people on the internet and wrestling fans love her. So
I love her entrance.
And it might
just
it might just be her character work, right? So we'll see.
Because I think that is great.
To me, it reminds me so far just as a Japanese wrestler of like Yano, right? Where it's mostly comedy and mostly his character and stuff. And in ring, he's not super impressive. She didn't impress me here. Her character's interesting for sure. Her singing while the team was being attacked was very funny.
That was really funny.
The Rosa Baker feud is clearly continuing, and I'm okay with it. There's not much else for either of them to do, right, at this point. But it seems like this feud is almost the more important in the women's division than anything that's happening with the title, which isn't usually a good sign.
It's not ideal.
So we're getting them as a main event next week, right? The first women's main event, I think.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Their matches haven't blown me away so far, so I'm hoping they've been solid to good, but I'm hoping they have another level to get to on the main event. But we'll see. Yep.
The match was fine.
Yeah, it was
there it is.
A decent little sprint.
I love Maki Ito's entrance, but she's not that good in the ring. She's
not super impressive so far.
She did very little, but what she did do looked bad. Everyone else is fine here, but I didn't really love the match, and it felt kind of randomly put together.
Yep, but Nyla Rose is growing on me, I have to say.
Yeah.
I think she's getting better.
I would hope so.
Yep.
What the heck just happened? Okay, there we go. Matt Hardy and Private Party. Private Party reassure Matt after his Revolution loss. Matt says they need to bring more money in, and they kind of agree. Matt says he's been building up money his whole life, and you can kind of sustain their kind of operation or whatever until April, which I think is the end of the first quarter.
That's right. Yep, goes to the end of March.
Wow, Hangman doesn't even get like a full first quarter because
I think
it's in like March.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's getting all of his money from January to March. Like, are they going back? Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And he reveals his new signing, Butcher, Blade, and Bunny.
Right.
Yay? Question mark?
So this seemed really sudden and random, obviously, but clearly Kingston is a babyface now, so that leaves his group to sort of...
I don't really know why we need to give Butcher and Blade something else to do right now.
I don't either.
They're not bad, but they're just not that interesting.
And there's a major flaw here for me. So he's signing these guys or whatever to start making money for him, but everything
Wouldn't
they
they
make...
be clashing?
But everything they make in March is still going to Paige anyways.
And like wouldn't they be clashing? You got like two teams they're in the same division. Like,
so shouldn't Matt Hardy be waiting until April to sign new people? Because anything that Butcher and Blade make right now, he's getting none of it. It's going all to Hangman. So I didn't understand. This felt like a very rare AEW, just sort of like clunky, quick transition that doesn't really make sense to me. But it's Butcher and Blade are the guy on a baseball team that can play like all over the infield and the corner outfield spots, and they just kind of put him wherever they need him. It's a valuable person to have, but he's never committed to one spot.
I don't think
to jump around.
Butcher and Blade need to be doing anything right now. Like, they're not bad, they're fine.
I like them, and I like Butcher actually quite a bit, just because I think his look is so interesting.
Yeah, I just don't find them that interesting right now, and they just, I don't know. There's better teams that I think.
It seemed a very forced union here, right? Like, I don't quite get it, but I guess we'll see where it goes.
Mm-hmm. So we got our other advertised match with the
main event match wise, I guess, but not
6-man tag and the opener where the other like advertised matches, I think, right? No, there was Paige and anyways, whatever. I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Darby Allin versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT title. So fist bump and then holds encounters, more holds encounters. There was some stuff happening, but no like real moves yet. First one I noted was a backbreaker by Sky after Darby tweaked his left foot. Darby sits down on a sunset flip pin for 2. A Stun Dog Millionaire, I hate that name. They didn't even call it that, but I just know it as that, and I hate that. Code Red for 2 by Darby. German suplexes after a boot by Sky. Darby is able to counter the third, but then Sky just hits one into the corner, which is pretty cool. Sky counters a suicide dive with a cutter, which just amazed me. I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that. It was very cool.
Yeah.
Couple counters of his were unreal.
Yeah. Back in the ring, knee lifts and then a Fisherman Brainbuster for 2 by Sky, which is pretty cool. Sky is able to counter a coffin drop into sit-up powerbomb, kind of like got up and scouted it into a powerbomb, which is
an awesome counter.
And then Darby is able to counter his signature TKO into a small package, and he is able to retain the title and get the win.
Yeah.
Sky, though, snaps afterwards, really does turn heel and applies the heel hook.
Oh, yeah, because Darby's kind of giving him the respect thing, and then he attacks him, right?
Yeah, and also he applies the heel hook on his left foot, which is the one that Darby tweaked earlier.
Nice detail. Very good. I thought this was a pretty awesome TV match, honestly. Sky's counters to Allen's signatures were amazing. Allen looked like a champ, like he always does. Sky's offense is really good. He looked good in the loss here. And I was telling you while we were watching it, right? Like, people must line up to face Darby Allin. You're going to be on offense for like 75 to 80% of the match. Allen's going to sell your stuff like crazy. You're going to look great. You might not win the match, but you're going to look great in the meantime. The Sky attack at the end didn't surprise me. He's been leaning heel for like a week or two now, right?
Without explanation.
Yeah, and it was kind of a typical Allen match where he's dominated for most of it, but still wins. That style's still working for me. And the other bonus in this match, no Sting in sight anywhere.
Hell
Darby
yeah.
away from Sting.
Hell yeah.
My only criticism would have been I wouldn't have put this match this week. I would have given Sky a couple weeks to sort of develop himself.
Maybe a little more time.
As more of a heel
too.
and as more of like a credible threat, right? Because coming into this, we're like, there's no chance Scorpio Sky is winning. But
I would also have given this a little more time.
With the right booking for a couple weeks, maybe I could have believed a little more in Scorpio Sky. But still a very entertaining match, I thought.
So I thought it was a pretty good match. I agree, pretty nice TV match. Sky I thought looked really good here. He had some great moves of his own and even better counters to some of Darby's best stuff. The cutter counter to the suicide dive was really cool, and his coffin drop counter is unique. I don't think I've ever seen either of those ever, so that was really awesome. I like him attacking Darby afterwards because it gives them a chance to add more to his character, and then he should definitely come back for round 2. In my opinion, I thought the match was a little on the short side, but I think it was still good. I think there's some, for sure, potential for a rematch. I'm not sure if I'd want Scorpio Sky to take the title off of Darby quite yet, because I think Darby's doing pretty good. I think he should be given some more time, but I think another match would be good here. So then we get some advertisements for the St. Patrick's Day Slam Dynamite special next week. We'll get John Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus the Good Brothers.
Yay.
I like 3/4 of that match.
Right.
Cody Rhodes to Penta El Zero Miedo.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, that should be good.
It should be good, but then the outcome, probably not good.
We'll see.
Jurassic Express and Bear Country, so they're coming out of nowhere, versus Butcher, Blade, Matt Hardy, and Private Party. So yeah, Mirko Stunt is in the match. 10-man tag, maybe good. I don't know.
I'm interested to see Bear Country in an actual match where I can focus on them a little bit, because I know nothing about them other than what we saw in the whatever it was,
and
Battle
that they
Royal.
Exist. Jade Cargill will be in action, which does not thrill me at all.
I don't know. She over-delivered for me, so I'm willing to give her another chance based on that. Yeah, but I think the only
thing you could compare her to is Shaq, and Shaq sucks, but...
We'll see. He was fine, man. I don't know.
Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa in a lights out unsanctioned match, which is the same type of match Mox and Omega had at Full Gear.
That's going to be tough to compare those two, I imagine.
Why? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just because you're doing a match that two amazing guys did.
That's true.
But anyways.
So this one, if they're following the same thing, should not count on their records because it's like unsanctioned. Right. And if
records are super important.
Right. So then technically unsanctioned would mean it's not.
That's true.
Sanctioned and wouldn't count on
records.
Didn't
actually happen.
Right. So that's what they should do, but we'll see. So then, like, imagine, like Thunder Rosa wins this and Britt Baker be like, "No, you didn't."
Right. Never happened. That could be where they
Check
go.
the record books. No, it didn't.
Yeah.
So next we get our main event segment thingy.
And as soon as I saw this was the main event, right, it's pretty clear that something big is happening here, or this is not the main event.
Or it's a good, really good, which it might have been.
Yep. Carry on.
The Inner Circle War Council. Woohoo. Jericho says when an army needs to change, they have a war council to decide the best way to continue, and that's what they're doing. So I like that kind of comparison, you know?
Yeah.
That they're kind of like an army or whatever.
Yep.
He says they have been struggling, but they're the best, and they're going to get through it. Jericho perhaps suggests a new member could be added, and MJF says he thinks they should let somebody go. And right after he says that, Sammy Guevara's music hits, he comes out. Jericho says he never wanted to see Guevara again, but Jericho tells Guevara Guevara tells Jericho
slow down.
He needs to show him something. Plays the video on the Tron, and it's basically MJF talking in their circles about the Inner Circle, other members, about booting out Jericho and instituting him as the leader.
And they all agree.
Right. Yes. And MJF says he didn't want Jericho to find out this way, and he tells them to get him. And as they approach Jericho, they turn around, and as MJF is like gonna say something, I think he tells MJF to shut up, and he says they talk every day, and they were waiting for him to kind of like reveal himself like this.
Yep. And
Jericho shoves MJF and fires him from the Inner Circle, and he says they're going to give him an old-fashioned beatdown. MJF pleads like a little whining baby, and says he wasn't trying to take over Jericho's inner circle, and this was a great line, because he was busy building his own.
Ooh.
Great line,
Yep.
I must say. The lights go out, and Shawn Spears, Tully Blanchard, of course, Wardlow, and FTR appear. They brawl, and the first shot of the brawl is Dax Harwood just bottling Jake
Right.
Hager on the head, which is great, and MJF's just chilling on the turnbuckles, just watching.
Yep.
Spears hits the Wicked Stepsister, the step thingy,
Yep.
into a chair on Guevara, because
Yeah, it
of
looked
course
kinda
he
cool.
is the chairman. You already know.
Mhm.
FTR handcuffed Proud and Powerful, and Wardlow hits that knee thingy to Jericho, and that double spike pile driver to Proud and Powerful as they're handcuffed. So that's pretty cool.
Yep. With Tully coming off the ropes.
Yeah. Wardlow holds Jericho, and MJF hits him with the Dynamite diamond ring. Jericho crawls to the bat. I'm not doing good right now.
It's all right.
But MJF steps on it until he hands it to MJF, hits him in the stomach and in the face with the bat. And then they carry Jericho to stage, and Wardlow power bombs him real jackknife style.
Yeah,
off
just
of the
kind of
stage.
dropped him.
But I mean, it is high off the stage
It is.
through tables.
Yep.
So, yeah. But it still was cool. Thoughts?
This was really cool here. Both guys thought that they were. I love the dynamic where Jericho and MJF thought they were one step ahead of each other, right? Like Jericho's like, yeah, I'm one step ahead of you trying to overthrow me and get this, ha ha ha. And then it's like, well, guess what? I'm one step ahead of you because I knew you were going to do that, so I've already formed another
Or
group.
like, I was hoping you would do that.
Right. So I really liked that idea. My only issue is, our inner circle babyface now?
Somewhat.
Right?
They have,
they have
okay.
done nothing that's babyface.
Now they're
Ever.
in the Death Triangle / Lance Archer / Eddie Kingston situation.
So I'm not quite sure where this leaves them because they have not been babyface at all. But I like that this company loves factions because I do too. I thought this was a cool finish to the show. And normally I'm like, I want the shows to open and end with matches.
You
but
are very much like that.
I am. But this was cool. I really enjoyed it. And I mean, that faction seems pretty big. I don't know if Spears needs to be in it, but he does need something to do. So I guess we'll
think
see where it
Spears
goes.
is-
You've got your
I
mid
think
carder,
Spears
your
is
main
good.
eventer, your tag team,
And
right?
then your kind of bodyguard guy, which is Wardlow.
And Wardlow, right? So I thought it was cool, a cool segment to end the show, and it opens up a lot of stuff going forward, obviously, right? So that's cool. What did you think?
I absolutely love this segment. I'd already watched it before this, but I still loved it.
I got spoiled by a thumbnail, dang it, because I don't get spoiled on anything ever. And something I was looking at, I guess I was on YouTube maybe, and it was a thumbnail. And you know what really spoiled it for me? Was Shawn Spears' blonde hair. Because I sort of noticed MJF with the scarf.
Right,
And then I
it
saw
could be
this
anything.
tall blonde person, and I was trying not to look any further, and I already knew, dang it, clearly
Shawn Spears, who's
something's
now
go-
affiliated with
right?
FTR.
Right. So I got spoiled
Right.
by a freaking thumbnail.
And instead of Cody, which we thought would be kind of that Four Horsemen, to MJF, which I think also works.
He kind of fits for sure, right?
I love this because it makes MJF look like a freaking genius.
It does.
He must have been planning for like weeks, maybe months, to try to like take over, quote unquote, the inner circle. But he's just doing all of this. He got like Sammy to leave. He got Sammy to quit the inner circle, and he did this all to throw them off the set. Meanwhile, he's like, "Hey, FTR, we're gonna do this and like get Shawn Spears back." Blah blah blah. You know, he's doing all that, and I just think he looks so smart. And I think this faction is a pretty good lineup, I must say.
I
Like,
do too. Yep. Well, I love FTR.
love the potential here. I'm excited to see what they do next and also what they're called because that's always fun. MJF is for sure the future because wow, he just looked so smart here.
This is an example of like a quote unquote swerve that works, right? Because I hate that word.
And yeah, in non-kayfabe, AEW seems so smart because they're like, it seems like, oh, they're booking MJF taking over the inner circle, and then it's just completely a different thing. And like he kind of wanted to get caught here, I think was cool. And I think this is just a testament to AEW's great booking.
And I think
take notes, WWE.
It's because they long-term book, right?
They
Apparently,
did,
like they book for long periods.
Right. I think that when did I think it was since Full Gear. That MJF and Ward. But I think they've been building it since like August, like maybe September. Because remember, he wanted to get into a faction after he lost to Moxley. Right. So they've been building this for like a decent chunk of time.
And if this were WWE, my assumption would be they heard that everybody was predicting that MJF was going to take over, and they would just switch it on the fly, right?
Right.
But I feel like this was where they were
This
going
was like
the whole
they
time.
planned
Yes.
to trick people.
So it was really cool.
And this is already a contender for my segment of the year.
Wow,
I'm just going to
okay.
say it was just because
Put
it
it
may
in a
be
document.
storyline of the year. Just because I thought the promo work was pretty cool here. I
Yep.
thought it was pretty good, and just the whole swerve element. I think it was awesome.
I really also like the visual
Amazing.
of the guys advancing towards Jericho and then slowly turning around, right? And that subtle like.
And MJF just acting all like.
So the reveal comes not even with words, right? Like it's just a visual of this group of guys just now turning their attention to MJF.
Right, and then
you suddenly
MJF looks like. He's just like, oh crap.
And then he plays it off well, like, oh no,
Yeah,
you
he's
guys
like,
have outsmarted
he's
me.
like
Nope.
about to cry. He's like, no, I swear I wasn't taking over your inner circle. Because I was building my own.
Yep.
Just like the shift. It was amazing.
Very well
It was an
executed.
awesome way to end the show. So I thought the show was pretty good overall. It started and ended great. I thought Phoenix versus Matt Jackson was a great opener choice, and the TNT title match followed by this segment that we just talked about was a fantastic way to end. The 6-woman tag was a dud for me,
Yeah.
but still fine. Penta's promo after Cody's squash was great, and I thought Ethan Page looked fine in his singles debut. Mox and Kingston have a really cool dynamic similar to Ciampa and Thatcher. And next week's special is shaping up pretty well storyline-wise and seems to be match-wise. It would be an A- for me, but I feel like the tag match and
Brought it down for you.
Page's Dynamite debut should have been a little better. So I think it's like on the cusp of an A- for me,
Okay.
but B+.
So I also thought this was a really strong episode of Dynamite. It almost feels like a bit of a reset, right? Like suddenly you've got Inner Circle's completely different, MJF's completely different, Mox and Kingston are completely different,
Oh, yeah.
Butcher and Blade are completely different, right? Sammy Guevara's back. Like it was a very heavy character and storyline show. With
Not
sometimes,
even in a bad way, though.
No, that's what I'm going to say. Sometimes that's not my favorite thing, but I really enjoyed this. You had a major segment to end the show, a really strong opener.
And it's always odd when you do that, but I think
If it's
there's
done well,
a right time and
yeah.
place to do it. I think this is one of those examples.
A strong
For sure.
TNT title match.
Mhm.
I thought the trios match was okay, not great. The Ethan Page match, I think I liked a little more than you, so I did in fact give it an A-. My only criticism was the Cage Callis Omega segment was a bit too long.
That too.
But it's still contained. But I was really enjoyed by the show, and I feel like it's just sort of shifted the storytelling in AEW significantly in a lot of different ways. So that was fun for me, and I did give it an A- this week.
I was like, right, almost there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good
show.
so good start to our weekly reviews. So let's transition into our sort of break in between the two Wednesday night shows. That's our trivia based, which I'm excited about this week. So let's look at Off the Top of His Head.
Yeah. Where I'm wearing a hat and take it off my head.
Yes, that joke's in there a bunch of times.
Now
So
it's different.
this week's trivia is courtesy of mostly the Sportster, probably like 90%, and then a couple of hints added by me. So WWE has a history of using their talent to fill roles as extras, whether they're in the ring getting squashed or big names trying to keep order.
Stan.
So superstar cameos from before they made it big.
Okay.
WWE, I think they're all
I know a
WWE.
bit about this.
And I sort of have escalating clues to make it
Okay.
easier if you need it. Okay, so the first one, a member of the Rosebuds, but that's going to come up a lot, so that might not be super helpful. So I'll give you the next. I'll give you the next clue. So a member of the Rosebuds who didn't seem like he tried very hard when it came to dressing up. So most folks in the group wore over the top
Braun Strowman?
Nope.
Simon Gotch.
Nope. Over the top costumes, capes, and bodysuits. Not this guy.
Elias?
Yes, just a tight striped t-shirt, black pants, and a headband.
I knew there was, I think Becky Lynch was also a Rosebud.
Hey, there's a whole bunch coming up, so don't say anything. There's like 4 Rosebuds that you're just going to stomp all over.
I just said the rest of them.
Okay, so it was in fact Elias, okay? Second one.
Elias Sampson?
3 stars at once with this one. They were part of Triple H's WrestleMania 30 entrance.
Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss,
Really?
Charlotte Flair.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. I did think you'd know that. My next clues were going to be they were women wearing masks and they have all been women's champion multiple times. Okay. Another one of the Rosebuds, but this guy wore a hamburger costume.
Simon Gotch?
No.
Braun Strowman?
No. Despite his less than impressive physical appearance, he signed a full-time deal and was a staple of WWE TV for 16 months.
James Ellsworth?
Correct.
He was a Rosebud?
My last clue was the first person to pull down the women's Money in the Bank briefcase. Right? Technically?
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Appeared as one of the Undertaker's druids.
Dean Ambrose?
Correct. Wow. Okay, you know more about this than I thought. So did you know this? Do you know anything significant about that? He broke a rule while being a druid.
Why?
He showed his face. So there's actually, because they all have those big hoods and they're looking
yeah,
down.
you could kind of see his face.
I saw a still shot. You can completely see his face, and that was not what he was supposed to do. So I feel like that's Ambrose. Like, whatever. I'm going on national TV. I'm showing my face, right? Like I almost respect it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. In 2006, he was super kicked by Shawn Michaels at a Cyber Sunday while portraying a WWE crew member.
Stan, aka Sean Spears.
Correct. And then
I know that one too well. That one's famous.
He was later on ECW as Gavin Spears, right? This one I didn't know. This megastar, so there's your first hint, was an extra in 2000's They Called It Not Me, So Bad It's Good, quote unquote, movie Ready to Rumble.
John Cena?
Correct.
Really?
Yeah, good guess.
I was just guessing.
My next clue was he would be signed by WWE later that year and would go on to be the industry's biggest star for many years. All right. So good guess. Even the ones you don't know, you know. Appeared at WrestleMania 22 as part of John Cena's gangster.
CM Punk?
Yes. You do know all these. Gangster-infused
that's one of the
entrance.
ones I know.
And at that point, he was already signed, but was only at OVW. And then my final clue went on to become a huge star who cut one of the all-time famous promos. All right, next one. Debuted as one of the Godfather's hoes. Oh, he doesn't know, ladies and gentlemen. Hard to believe.
Like, would she have been wrestling in that era, or like?
I don't know. She is a...
Molly Holly?
No.
Trish Stratus.
Oh, wait,
Lita.
did I put the wrong name there? Sorry. I wrote in the wrong... I do know the answer, but
Lita?
I wrote it wrong in my notes. Nope. She is a 2-time women's champion, and her hard-nosed style and technical prowess made her a favorite of wrestling fans and one of the bright spots
Melina?
in early 2000s wrestling. Nope. Became part of Right to Censor.
Oh, Ivory?
Correct. Was
Really?
put through a table by the Godfather.
Hmm.
All right, yet another Rosebud. He appeared in a gladiator costume.
Braun Strowman.
Correct. He stood out due to his massive size and huge beard, and he has held the Universal Championship. This one I did not know. Played the Miz's makeup artist on a 2014 episode of Raw.
Was it he or she?
She. Made various appearances for Juggalo Championship Wrestling, Insane Championship Wrestling, and Shimmer. No guesses? My last clue will give it to you. She was the muscle of the Riot Squad, but no longer works for the company.
Sarah Logan?
Correct. I didn't know that
How
one.
is she the muscle for the Riot Squad?
She was the makeup artist.
I don't think any of them are muscle.
1995's King of the Ring. These two would open
Hardy Boys.
Yes, my goodness. So I was thinking you might not know these, but then you also watch a million YouTube videos on stuff like this. So yes, they would open the doors at the entrance for WWF superstars
I don't remember where I saw
as they made their way to the ring.
I remember.
My other clues were they would eventually become a staple of the tag division and go on to have some of the most beloved matches of the Attitude Era and helped make TLC matches famous.
I don't even know what year that they did that. I just know that they did do that at one point.
They did. 95.
Mm-hmm.
So these two made cameos as security guards on a 2006 episode of Raw.
Cesaro?
Nope. And tried to separate members of DX and Rated RKO.
EC3?
No. Ready for your next hint?
Sheamus?
Yes.
And,
Since this episode took place in Manchester, England, they needed some United Kingdom talent. Sheamus and...
Neville.
No.
Finn Balor.
No. One still wrestles and is a multi-time champion, Sheamus, and the other does commentary for the company.
William Regal. Aiden English.
Ding. No.
Nigel McGuinness.
No.
Wade Barrett.
Correct. Yeah, you didn't know something. That's rewarding for me.
I knew Cesaro and EC3, I think, did one, so that's why I thought it was them.
Our fourth Rosebud on the list. This woman appeared dressed like a club kid in a blue tutu with streamers in her hair.
Becky Lynch.
Correct. In developmental, here's the other clues. She was more interested in river dancing than raving. And
What the heck? What the
It's
heck?
like traditional Irish dancing.
Yeah, I know, but like that.
She would go on to be crowned the first ever SmackDown Women's Champion.
Oh, yeah, that's a dead giveaway.
So we got last one. And then I have enough to do next week because I thought this one was kind of fun. I don't
Yeah.
know how you feel about
No,
it, but
I
I
like
like
it.
it. This star made his appearance in a match on Velocity. So this is a match now.
Bryan Danielson,
Oh my
Dan
God.
Bryan?
Why would you know that?
2K19 Showcase Mode, baby.
Oh, 2K19. So yes, he made his appearance in a match on Velocity versus John Cena in a 4-minute match. Should see what John Cena was wearing in that
I
match.
know,
'cause they
yellow
have a
pants.
Yeah. This was a few years before becoming one of the biggest names on the independent circuit and even further from finally signing a WWE contract. And final clue was a multi-time champion, recently returned after finally being cleared by doctors. You did shockingly well on that. I was telling you, I was hoping this week's was going to be more educational for you, but you did end up knowing almost all of them. So good job.
Thanks.
So let's flip back to the Wednesday Night Wars and talk about a little bit of NXT in our weekly NXT review.
Woohoo.
The show starts by showing us a split screen of Adam Cole and Finn Balor sort of entering the building as commentary talk over top and sort of hype the show, including the women's title match for tonight. And then our first actual segment has William Regal in the ring to make his 2 game-changing announcements that most people predicted both of them accurately, including you and me, I think.
I predicted one of them, and one of them was also heavily rumored.
So yeah, they weren't super surprises, but still. So we get a cool package revealing that there will be a 2-night takeover called Stand and Deliver on Wednesday and Thursday of Mania week.
I heard there was a possibility the 2-night takeover, and then I also figured this would be the name because I heard that they're filing a trademark for it.
Yeah, the name I didn't know, but I was aware that this is what was going to happen, so it wasn't a big surprise.
I'm very thrilled
I think it'll be fun.
about this. I think it's great because I think more NXT goodness.
Absolutely. And their pay-per-views are what are their real strength, right? So if you want to give me 2 days of it instead of 1, I'm here for it. I'm not going to lie. He
getting 2 takeovers, boom.
Exactly. He then asks the women's division to come out and he puts them over when he talks about how special they are every week.
Wonder why they're on the stage.
He specifically
And
calls
only the tag teams.
Gonzalez and Kai forward and talks about the injustice they faced last week and how he is tired of waiting for people to make decisions for him. So he's decided to make this decision, and Kai and Gonzalez will be the new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, and he unveils the belts. Any thoughts on the belts? I know you're a belt guy.
They look pretty nice. They're basically just white strap versions of the men's tag titles, which I think is smart. Just go with the safe design choice.
Yep. It was nothing crazy. I didn't think they looked bad. I mean, I don't care that much about belt appearances, but I didn't have a problem with it. Kai speaks, and she sort of speaks highly of the women's division in general. And I was like, what? Why does she sound so face? But then it was basically just to make her own accomplishments look better, right? Because if everybody else is great and she's still a champion, that makes her better.
Right.
So I like that.
Yeah. Back to the heel, because we're like,
what's going on? And then she saved it. Gonzalez says the division better get used to seeing them with the belts since they'll have them for a long time. Ember interrupts and Shotzi interrupt and ask for a title shot tonight. The exact
people I want, because they won their half of the bracket, right?
So, that's
not like they lost the tournament.
Thank you for saying that, because all I wrote in my notes was with some faulty logic, I'm afraid. And that was Ember trying to say that, well,
you won your side
of the brackets, and then I'm like,
but you lost the tournament.
Right? And then Ember,
they also won the tournament and got screwed out of the title shot that they won. So, like, your claim makes no sense.
Yeah, so there was an issue there, but anyways,
a major issue.
Regal speaks up and obviously makes this match, and
because Regal's dumb.
So for me, these announcements were not a major surprise. I thought this segment,
but both are good.
Yeah, I like both announcements, and the segment was good. Kai and Gonzalez are awesome heel champions, and Moon and Shotzi can chase them as baby faces. So this is my notes before the rest of the show happened. Yeah. I thought that would be a cool chase. Moon's lines weren't great, but overall I liked the segment. What did you think?
Moon's promos are not her strength, much like her tag team partner.
It was just that line of, we both won our brackets, but then you wrestled each other and you lost.
But then who won the tournament?
Right. Again, I'm not a huge fan of segments starting shows, but this one wasn't bad, I didn't think.
I like that. I'm excited for the takeover. I'm excited to see what happens with these belts.
Right.
Sort of.
Yep, me too.
So yeah, good way to start the show.
We then move right into our women's championship match, and that is Io Shirai versus Toni Storm. We were a little nervous here because we just don't think that Toni's been booked or built to the point where she's a believable opponent even for Io, let alone someone that's going to beat her. But I felt like in the back of my mind there was a chance that they were going to put the belt on Storm here.
Just like the Worry almost.
Yes.
Right?
So both of these women look like stars when they make an entrance, and then I have let's hope they both look like stars during the match because normally that's not the case.
Shirai looks fine.
Yeah, amazing. She's always looks like a star.
Right.
We get a clean break.
If she looks bad, she looks fine.
The match starts. We get a clean break by Io, and then of course when the roles are reversed, we don't get a clean break from Storm as she slaps Io as part of the rope break. We get a running hip in the corner right away by Toni Storm, and Io escapes outside, hits a forearm to a sliding Storm to shift the momentum. We get an escape and a basement dropkick by Io. Io stays in control until Storm yanks her onto the apron as Io is going for a moonsault. Io is run into the steps as we head to a commercial break. As we come back from the commercial, Storm is hitting a backbreaker before Io regains control with the flurry ending in a 619 and a missile dropkick. Roll through stomp by Io, and she heads up top again. Headbutt by Storm, and she climbs up top too. We get a superplex by Storm, and both are down in the ring momentarily. A diving clothesline and a German suplex by Toni for a 2 count. I actually thought that was a nice combo. Shirai tries to fight back, but Storm anticipates the Matrix move and drops an elbow to Io's midsection, which actually looked okay too. Io has a burst of energy, ends up hitting a moonsault to the outside. Back in the ring, Storm hits a sit-out powerbomb for a 2 count. Storm Zero is escaped and palm strikes, leading to a crossface and a rope break by Toni Storm. Running knees to Storm, but a missed moonsault and a Storm Zero.
Like the Andrade knee thingy, right?
Yeah.
Because she usually does that.
The two running into the corner.
The corner double knees.
I got a bit nervous here because Io misses the moonsault, and we do get a Storm Zero for a near fall.
Tyler Driver 97.
Yes. A diving headbutt countered into a crossface by Io, and Toni Storm taps out.
Hell yeah, she does.
What did you think?
I thought the match was fine. It was like it was really short. Like it's not even like
it was shorter than I thought.
It was just like short and like it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It's just like unremarkable. Like nothing of note really.
Yep.
Like it was fine. Honestly, like not as a criticism, not as a compliment. Just like it was fine.
I was happy with the match, mostly the outcome. For me, the length.
For sure.
The length felt kind of right because this is about as good as Toni Storm is, I think, or has been shown to be. She doesn't deserve to go 20 minutes with Io and have a million near falls. She deserves to lose in a decent match where she got a little bit of competitive time.
That's true.
I think she looked better than she has so far. I think this was my favorite Toni Storm match so far. But again, you're working with Io, so of course. I like this as an opener. Io looks really strong because she did this wasn't a very long match and she won decisively.
Right.
In fact, submitting her opponent. Right. But they really need to build something in a hurry for Io, since I don't think Storm has a case for a rematch here, right?
Taya Valkyrie.
I don't think so. I have a idea of what's going on, but I'll talk about it a bit later.
I think that's the smart decision.
Finn Balor then gets a chance to speak, and he says Cole was tough when people were there to back him up, but tonight there's no backup and no cheap shots, and Balor will win.
Cole's the best, but that is a fair point.
Just a solid, straightforward promo, right? Nothing special, but I mean...
Was it like in front of the weird flags that they usually have?
I don't remember. You're asking me to remember details now. That's going to be tough.
I'm just curious because I can't remember.
But it was just a straightforward, decent promo from Balor.
Fine.
Nothing special.
Yeah.
Mackenzie is then talking to Eli Drake, and she gives him the time he has requested. Sorry.
Oh.
L.A. Knight. L.A. Knight, sorry.
L.A. Knight.
Next week, he will have his first match if anyone steps up, so it sounds like it's kind of an open challenge. As he starts to sort of do his catchphrase, Bronson Reed grabs him, and the two are separated, and clearly I would say that is the match for next week, I assume.
Yay.
I thought this was a fine 1-minute segment to set up a debut match, right? The guy's good on the mic, they let him speak, and now he's got an opponent next week, so fine, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't love Bronson
I know
Reed.
You don't like Bronson Reed, but it's not like Bronson Reed's going to win, so you should be happy.
That's true.
Right? He's going to be used as basically enhancement here, pretty much.
You suck, Bronson Reed.
He doesn't, but anyways. Jake Atlas versus Pete Dunne with Lorcan and Birch come out with Dunne.
I laughed so hard when I saw this match because, like, I don't know. One is not like the other.
Yeah, true. Athletic escapes by Atlas to start as commentary try to convince us that Atlas is somehow improved and looking good lately. And I'm like, I don't recall
What?
that,
Who have
but
you been watching?
right?
Have you been watching 205 Live? 'Cause
So
I
Dunn
haven't.
Dunn gets Atlas's fingers, but Atlas escapes and hits a Hurricane Rana. Lots of acrobatic stuff, and Dunn ends it with a swift kick to an upside down Atlas, which kind of was cool at one point. Like, stop doing all of your handsprings and flips. I'm just gonna kick you as you're doing them. Dunn now grabs a hold of the arm as Atlas is on his stomach on the mat. Dunn is methodical with slaps and kicks until Atlas lands a flurry of his own with a German and a standing moonsault. Atlas goes out top, but Dunn counters the rainbow DDT and goes back to the arm of Atlas. We have an arm bar applied by Dunn, and Atlas kind of quickly taps.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting armbar because it was like he kind of was in a different position.
Yeah.
And he's also wrenching on the fingers at the same time.
So Dunn speaks briefly and says he's the best and dares someone to prove him wrong. What did you think of the match in general?
It was a squash. I don't have much comments on a squash match, but like it was good. I thought just like a kind of decisive tap out was smart here.
Yeah. I actually thought Atlas got more offense than I would have liked him to. It wasn't quite a squash for me. He got a chance to do a lot. It wasn't
anything,
bad.
He probably got more offense than Pete Dunne.
Atlas seemed to use more acrobatics than usual, and I think he needs to watch that a little bit because it just becomes a little bit unbelievable when he's constantly... I mean, it's incredible the stuff he can do, but it's a bit too much for me at times. This guy's just been kind of lost, right, since he got here. I don't know... I honestly can't say if he's good in the ring or not. I don't really even think he's gotten a chance to show me. So he's just kind of enhancement talent at this point, I guess, until they need him for something. Mm-hmm. Definitely an athletic guy.
Yeah.
Imperium then get a chance to speak, and they are doing all of this for Thatcher. And they say...
I was confused by.
Me too, and I'm even confused as I read it back. And they say he can bring Ciampa too if he wants, and that their group will be taking over. So your thoughts? Explain your confusion, because I probably felt the same way.
I don't know why I get Thatcher. He does fit the group, but they're doing like they brought Wolf.
They're recruiting
for
him.
Thatcher.
And they're making it sound like they had some crazy bond before, right? Like I barely remember them being involved.
It was just they took the titles from the Broserweight because Timothy Thatcher turned. So I guess technically Thatcher would have helped them win the titles.
I guess.
Because he abandoned Matt Riddle in that match.
I don't remember.
That was his heel turn.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so that helps a little bit, but that was my thing. Like, what exactly are they doing? I don't love this fascination with Thatcher by this group because I don't remember these strong bonds that they had.
He does at least like fit their style. Though.
Yeah. And I just had since when does WWE rely on us to vividly remember small stories from a while ago? They generally count on us forgetting stuff so that they can do whatever they want. So here they're sort of counting on me remembering what I don't think was a major storyline from a long time ago.
No, it was literally it was more a storyline for Riddle and Thatcher and less about Imperium in that situation.
Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't quite understand. It seems kind of forced to me so far, but I guess it could work depending on where they go.
Yeah.
All right, Leon Ruff gets a promo and talks about Swerve.
Yippee.
He knew Swerve was a snake and is tired of people thinking he gets lucky. He beat Swerve already, and he'll do it again next week. It was short and fine, I said. I hope Swerve wins decisively. You?
Yeah, I don't really have anything different to say because I don't like Leon Ruff either.
I think there's a room for the plucky underdog, right? But I don't know. I haven't loved the way they've dealt with him either, and I hope Swerve just kills him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not literally, obviously.
That would be not
But a decisive win in the ring.
Yes.
We then get our NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match, which is Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. And this is where I made a note, right? Why is Beth talking so much tonight? I feel like she was basically doing the second portion and was way more active tonight. She's not good. It feels like she's saying at least twice as much as she usually does. And I do feel bad for saying this because this is just a personal thing, I think. But the actual sound of her voice is irritating to me.
Yeah, she is just
so
all around.
I felt like she was way more involved this episode, and at this point, I had already had enough of it. Anyways, back to the match. We get a one-legged dropkick right away by Ember Moon, and Dakota Kai is in. Shotzi applies a cloverleaf early to Kai, who crawls to the ropes for a break. Simultaneous kicks, and Kai and Shotzi are both down. We head to a commercial after that, and back from the commercial, Gonzalez has a bear hug on Shotzi. We get a big clothesline, a tag, and an assisted stomp by Shotzi, to Shotzi by Kai, the one where she kind of knuckle locks with Gonzalez and uses her momentum to sort of lift her up higher for the stomp. Pump kick by Tai, as Shotzi has been in the ring a really long time at this point. Enziguri by Shotzi, and she finally makes the tag to Ember Moon. Moon is obviously on fire as she comes in. She knocks Gonzalez to the floor to sort of take her out for a while so she can focus on Kai. Hits a flurry to Kai, including a senton. And something weak looking. I didn't even know what it was, but it was... Remember, we sort of even rewound it and we're like, what was she trying to do there? But it didn't look like anything in particular. We get a dive by Shotzi to the outside. All four outside now. And Kai is rolled back into the ring by Moon and rolled up for a 2 count. Kai ends up in control for a bit here and lands a big corner boot before tagging in Gonzalez. We get a tandem toss into a head kick for 2 by the heels. A gory stretch into a flipping spine buster, which I don't think I'd seen before, but looked really cool.
Oh yeah, it was like kind of like the slam kind of looked like the finishing stretch of like a Punjabi plunge.
She seems to keep adding cool like power offense, right? Week by week. It's pretty impressive. Moon makes a tag and Shotzi hits a crossbody to both of the heels. Gonzalez to the floor now and kicks and knees and a German to Kai for 2. Senton to Kai in the ropes and a slingshot splash by Ember Moon for a 2 count. Double team wheelbarrow slam for 2. Gonzalez back in, but a jawbreaker and Eclipse countered. But Moon and Gonzalez awkwardly tumble to the floor, and that leaves Shotzi and Kai alone in the ring, and to my surprise, Shotzi Blackheart rolls up Dakota Kai for the win, and Shotzi and Ember Moon are your new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, and Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez get a reign of all of about maybe an hour? Thoughts, Jackson? He's making a face if this were video. Go ahead, talk about it.
Just my automatic instinct was, what the hell? Like, oh my, just so stupid. I joked earlier, like, you're like, oh, it's probably just like a defense for them or whatever. I was like, you never know, they could win.
Right.
And I was kidding. I was kidding.
No, you
They
weren't.
have, like, WWE, like, I was kidding, and WWE's like, oh, well, yeah, we'll have them win. WWE finally did something smart. They made women's tag titles for NXT. They have a good roster. They did the smart thing. Gave them to the best team there, who didn't get the other titles. Then they booked a match against Shotzi and Ember, and okay, whatever, first defense. And then they had them lose.
Yep.
In what universe is this a good idea? Even if it, like, if it was a different team, this is a stupid idea. Why would you even give them the titles if they're going to lose them the same night? Just make these for the vacant titles then. Like, honestly, people winning and losing titles in the same night is never a good idea. It just feels like even worse here. You have, like, an amazing team in Kai and Gonzalez, right? Who are great, and in kayfabe, we're screwed out of the main roster ones, right? So you give them the new NXT belts, and everything is great. And then you book them in a match with a crappy team involving Shotzi Blackheart, and then you have them lose to that team. Not only do Kai and Gonzalez look weak, but they look stupid, and WWE looks stupid for booking this.
I think it makes Regal look kind of bad,
I think it also, yeah, it looks...
Right, because he put it on, you're clearly the best tag team here.
Right, and then, right.
Nope.
Makes Will and Regal look stupid, too. And I don't get why Kai and Gonzalez had to look stupid for no reason. If they were going to lose this match in the first place, they shouldn't have had the belts. And I don't understand why. They should have dominated this division for a while. But WWE had to be WWE, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And the match was fine.
So I don't have much to add to that. I don't understand this decision either. I thought the match
made me beyond angry.
The match was pretty good. But a less than 1 episode reign for Kai and Gonzalez does
less than an hour, not even like half of NXT. Less than half of NXT.
It doesn't make sense to me. I'm wondering if this is the cracks in the Kai Gonzalez relationship.
But that would be stupid too.
But what I think, honestly, and maybe part of the reason they did this, but again, I don't think this is the way they should have done it, was honestly, the only person I can see WrestleMania week NXT pay-per-view worthy of facing Io Shirai is Gonzalez. I feel like in this short a time, that's the only person based on their recent history in this company that they can build to be believable.
Well,
and
then
she's a heel.
I don't understand why they had to be involved in this at all.
Agree. Right?
Like,
I don't either. So I think maybe that's where they're going, but then why put the belts on them at all?
Right.
I don't know.
Yes, they're the best team. I agree with that. But then, like, you could have given an explanation for, like, at least making them vacant. Like, maybe put the way them, Blackheart and Ember Moon and then another team in a 4-way for the titles. I don't care. But just like, so stupid.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean,
So
if it
stupid.
were AEW, I would say we'll see where they go with this, and I maybe give them.
Even if it was AEW, I'd probably still be kind of mad.
Yeah. Anyways,
it's stupid. It's not even like they won the titles and then lost them, which are also
they were
stupid.
handed them.
They were literally.
Which again makes Regal look dumb because you
Right.
picked the wrong team to hand it to. They're gonna lose 10 minutes later. Sort of thing.
And it was a freaking like distraction kind of roll up
Of
thingy.
course.
Like, are you kidding me?
That's all they know how to do.
Holy.
So, anyways,
crap.
not fans of that segment.
Not at all.
So Adam
Jesus.
Cole gets his chance to speak, and he reminds us of what he did to Kyle and Roddy. He says the era is dead when he says so. So this leads me to believe I think he might like restock his Undisputed Era maybe, because I think he's
That'd be
saying like
cool.
you guys don't have the power to end Undisputed Era. I do, sort of thing. Anyways, he says he played Finn like a fiddle. And it's always been about the title. He brags about his reign, and tonight he'll become a 2-time champion. I thought it was a solid, standard Cole promo, but I mean, he's really good. So when I say standard, that's not bad in this case. Some details of his master plan would have been nice to strengthen his argument, right? Like his point is, this has been my plan all along, wahaha. And I would have liked him to sort of explain that a little more and connect those dots for me to make it a bit stronger. But I thought it was okay. What about you?
Yeah, I thought it's good. I'm never going to be disappointed with
Like,
a
I wish he
promo
was like,
of
I
his.
did this, and then I did this, and
Or
remember
like,
I did
let
this.
you get the spotlight or
Right.
like something.
Something. Would have been nice to sort of flesh it out, but his delivery is always good, so, I mean, it was fine. I just wanted more details, I guess.
Yeah.
Ember and Shotzi are then walking backstage as all of the NXT women are basically clapping for them, except for Candice and
Except
Indy,
me.
who look on disapprovingly. So
Me
again,
too.
I think this furthers my theory because clearly they're not even looking at Gonzalez and Kai for the next, like a rematch or the next match, right? It looks like they're moving on to the way.
Right, but then
So that frees up Gonzalez.
I know I keep repeating this. Why were
I-
they even involved?
I don't know.
Like, it's just so
Let it go, man.
moronic.
Let it
no,
go.
it's so stupid.
Um,
Oh my god, I just hate this so
The
much.
way meet up, and Gargano admits to paying the therapist, and now that Theory knows that how Thatcher feels about him, reminds him of all
Loomis?
the specifics of that. Sorry, Loomis. Why Thatcher? Weird. Thatcher worked his way in there. Loomis.
I think you were confused, but then I was like, he's saying like, well, yeah, you have to pay the therapist, right, for like the session.
Yes.
So he was kind of like playing off as, oh yeah, that was
I
just her
paid
fee.
for it. Yes.
Right, not like paid her off. Like,
Paid her
did
to
you
say
pay?
anything.
Did you pay off the therapist? Yeah, she has to get paid. Like, which
The-
I thought was kind of like made sense.
Theory then flies into a rage and says that Loomis has gone too far. What did you think?
I didn't start out great and didn't really end great. So.
Yeah, I don't like this, but people that listen to the show already know that. Theory looks kind of ridiculous here. And if this is what Johnny's doing, like if he's going to stay in this role, they need to get that belt off of him, man. He's not a
Yeah.
champion right now. This is not a champion gimmick. There's no mention of the belt ever. There's no anything. They need to get it off of the man. If this is what you want him to do, to develop like a young male and female wrestler and whatever, that's do a comedy gimmick, whatever this
yeah,
is,
but
that's
like,
fine.
I love the
Get the
North
belt
American
somewhere else.
title, so this
Exactly.
is like...
So get
and
it out of there.
I don't like this now, because like, it really pains me to say Johnny Gargano is hurting the North American title right now.
It is.
Like-
I almost forgot he had it. You can almost forget the title exists because there's not much. Like Kushida had that
It's-
match for it and then nothing.
It's amazing. Right now it's less relevant than the Cruiserweight title, which we
Wow, that's a
we
bold
s-
statement.
which we say is like normal. Well, think about it. At least Escobar, like he's like
It exists, yes.
right, like you know it exists.
Like, why isn't Johnny wearing it or carrying it?
or like wasn't he?
I don't think
or
so.
Like, even if he is, it's just like
Anyways.
so he doesn't like. It's not even mentioned. It's just like it feels like the Cruiserweight title is like at least like somewhat prominent in Escobar storylines, and here it just feels like it's a complete afterthought. Not even a thought. Just
It's like
not
they changed
there.
their mind and were like, okay, Johnny, we're going to give you a North American title run. And then it was like, well, we kind of need to do this. And
Right.
then just, we'll leave the title on
Which
you.
also makes it seem like a waste of a third run as well.
Because that should be, for me, that should be like the working man's title, right? Like those should be, to me.
This should be their Intercontinental title.
Yes, if I'm booking this show, that's where all the serious, crazy matches. Well, I mean, pretty much every pay-per-view match is, but this is where you have the serious workers. But anyways, we then move to Kaden Carter versus Xia Li. Lee's entrance still looks really cool to me. She 100% looks like a Mortal Kombat character at this point. We get a drop kick by Carter right away, kicks and knees by Xia Li, clotheslines by Carter, roll through kick to a seated Lee. Casey comes out even though she's injured, as Lee starts to attack Carter's leg. So the basic idea here, I think, is that Xia Li is going to kind of give Kaden Carter the same injury that Catanzaro has. So she's attacking the leg and about to like do something devastating with the ring post, I think it was. And Casey attacks Lee with the crutch to save Carter. And she lays some good shots in, actually, with that crutch, I thought, before Boa takes the crutch and snaps it. And then we get Tien Sha, or is it the other name now? Like
Mei Ying. Like, it's supposed to be Tien Sha, but they're also sort of saying Mei Ying as well.
So she gives that signal, like basically summoning Boa to do something, but Carter hits him with the other crutch, and Casey and Carter sort of narrowly escape and flee to the back. What did you think?
I did not love this because, like, it was really short, and then it just kind of had a non-finish. So it just really, like, why?
So the only thing I'm on board for, if this turns into a 2-on-1, like a handicap match, and Xia Li still kills both of them, like, because again, you've built her up as this absolute monster in these promos, right? I've said it before, she's training in some rare martial art that's really punishing her. She's got a leader that's a 1,000-year-old, whatever she is, right? Like, she shouldn't have trouble with these people. She should dispatch of them quickly and move on. So I'm still kind of into her gimmick and stuff, but I need her to, I don't know, get rid of these two and move on, I guess.
Yeah.
We then get something that I was pretty excited about, and that is a promo from Jordan Devlin.
Hell yeah!
He talks about Mania season and the 2-night takeover that's now coming up, and he sort of says he's tired of Ireland's weather and it's time for a change of scenery, all hinting, of course, that he's coming over.
I was just
his
like,
travel,
hell yeah.
He says his travel ban was lifted today, and he's coming next week. He tells Escobar they'll find out who the real cruiserweight champion is.
Woo!
And I said,
even
yes,
though it should be him.
This should be an awesome match.
Save it for TakeOver.
We're gonna get the belt off of Escobar here. It's gonna keep Devlin a strong cruiserweight champ. I've been waiting for this match. I'm very excited.
Yeah. I just hope they wait for TakeOver for this.
And I assume Escobar's going to lose, only because, I guess maybe it's happening before that. Because Devlin, I actually watched UK this week, so they're building this feud, or this match between him and Trent Seven, right? Where Seven is losing weight, so it's all of these.
Maybe that would be at TakeOver?
I don't think so. I feel like the weigh-in for it is next week, so I'm thinking maybe it's beforehand. But anyways.
Wait, what? What, the weigh-in for what?
The weight, because Trent Seven has to make weight because he's a bit of a chubby dude, right?
Yeah.
So all of the vignettes have been like him hardcore training, and this week the vignette was like Tyler Bate he's brought in to help him, and that it's kind of interesting because Seven is saying he's not even checking his weight, he just knows he's putting in the work, so that when he weighs in next week on UK, he's saying that that'll be the first time he sees what his weight is too, and he's just going by like, I'm putting in the work, I'm eating right, I'm training like a monster, I'm gonna see the results, so I'm gonna see the results when you do next week, which I think is pretty cool.
Wait, so then when I think they should do that
so
match.
That's what I'm saying. If that match happens after TakeOver, then obviously Devlin's gonna be hanging on to the belt, right? But if they do it before, who knows? But I still think they need to get that belt off Escobar because he can do better than this. There's your North American champion for me. Escobar gets that belt and rolls with it.
For sure.
Somehow.
I think Devlin and Trent Seven. I think that just because like the storyline through, I think that would be a great TakeOver match.
Actually, maybe that is an option. I don't know, because if
they can fly Trent Seven in,
because if maybe
Devlin he's flying in with Devlin.
If Devlin can come, then Seven can come too, right? So it's just they'd have to get that story over to the North American audience, I think. But I've kind of enjoyed it. I've been watching a little more UK than usual.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get a Zoe Stark package then. She talks about having a tough upbringing and sort of choosing her path, as there was a path of not so positive things ahead of her, and she chose a different one. Wrestling became her escape and was her favorite thing in the world growing up. She started training at 18, and she basically finds that it helps her relax. Like, everything just kind of disappears when she's training. She is amazed to be at NXT and knows she's belongs, and it's time to show the world. She can work any style and is putting everyone on notice. What did you think?
I thought it was pretty good. Don't know why, but I thought at times her voice sounded kind of weird.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
But I think she's interesting, so I mean, we'll see what she does next.
Yeah, I thought this was an excellent babyface package. I've been really impressed with how they've handled her since they got here. I think it's smart to do a recorded, produced sort of promo here. I like the realness of this story. I imagine this probably is true of her, and if it's not, it seemed like it was, which I always like, right? When you can put reality into a storyline, into a promo, I'm all there. And this either seemed like it was her reality, or she did a good job of making it sound like it was. I thought this was really good, and I feel like they're building a really strong babyface here. I quite liked it. We then see Escobar, and he is upset with Regal about Devlin's announcement. Everyone knows that Escobar is the real champion, etc., etc. And then his team's music kind of hits, and he has to send Wilde and Mendoza out for their match. So this was just really quick. Obviously, he's upset about Devlin's announcement, and I don't know if he's going to do the heel, trying to get out of the match or whatever, but
he better not.
It didn't last long, and Wilde and Mendoza have a match. And it is, in fact, Legado del Fantasma, Wilde and Mendoza facing the Grizzled Young Veterans. Gibson does his standard promo on the walk to the ring, and he calls them puppets and asks if this is how they wanted their lives to go. They've been running errands and giving massages while the Grizzled Young Veterans have been making an impact and are soon to be champions. I thought this was funny again. I like every time he does this.
I always like the kind of promo entrances like Maki Ito, the Acclaimed, and this, and Kenny Omega's entrance.
If they're good at it.
They're always like just different every time. Like they follow the same formula, but like are different every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gibson feels like a throwback to me. Like I just feel like I'm watching somebody from a previous era. I quite like it. The match started off fast with a suplex by Gibson before Legado take over with fast, rapid-fire offense. Breezango then appear on the ramp in spacesuits that they were same thing they were wearing last week, but it's not Breezango.
It's the Road Warriors.
It's MSK. And guess what? The distraction is enough for Legado to get the roll-up pin. MSK take out Gibson and smash his hand as Breezango show up from behind and take out Legado. The heels retreat as the baby faces stand in the ring. Thoughts?
This match was random, so off to a great start. And then
Didn't
you
even
get
happen.
a short match, like not even, with the distraction roll finish. Again! And another tag match. And so, this was just not good. I did not like this badness.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan either. It's obviously another distraction roll-up on WWE television, which is what they generally do.
Second time tonight in a tag match, too.
Legado are a talented tag team. They're just kind of lost. I don't really know what they're doing. I like Grizzled Young Veterans. There's a plan for them. I guess this is just furthering the MSK Grizzled Young Veterans stuff, right? I guess. I don't know. And reintroducing Breezango for some reason. I'm anticipating some sort of multi-team match almost, which I don't really want to see, but who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
Dakota Kai is upset as Mackenzie tries to interview her, and Io shows up and tells Gonzalez that Io wants her next. And that was it. I just have that Io is so cool. She's super tiny, right? But she's still believable as being totally unafraid as she approaches this monster that is Gonzalez, right? She's a great babyface fighting champion. I mean, I also think she's an excellent heel when she needs to be. But she is like taking on all challengers, right? Looking for the next biggest thing. So I feel like this is, in fact, what they're going to build for the Mania Week pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's smart. But I think Kai is really good, too. So
I love
don't
Dakota
love
Kai.
her being left in the dust here.
Yeah, agree. I don't know what she's going to do, right? I do think she's awesome as well. But this seems to be... they have, like less than a month to build this. So it feels like this is where they're going for... What is it? Stand and Deliver?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is it.
Nice. We then get a split screen of Balor and Cole walking backstage as we head to commercial. Back from commercial, and Mackenzie is speaking to Thatcher about the Imperium recruitment attempt. Ciampa is not interested, but he is interested in the general that sits safely overseas. So
Which
please,
is a clever line.
please let that happen, because that's
That's
obviously
another money
talking about
match
Walter.
that they could put for TakeOver.
Yep, Ciampa Walter. Oh my goodness.
That would be amazing.
He suggests they battle Imperium in a tag match next week. Thatcher says nothing, and Ciampa walks away.
Yeah, I did note that Wally's like, no, we say no, we disagree. Thatcher saying nothing.
Yeah, so I would love a Ciampa Walter match. I like them not showing Thatcher's answer too, so it adds a bit of like intrigue or suspense, I guess.
He's gonna do another turn involving Imperium.
But at the same time, I still have a hard time understanding why Thatcher is like even contemplating joining Imperium, right? Again, that connection hasn't been made strongly enough for me that he's even thinking about it. But man, if we get a Ciampa Walter match at that pay-per-view,
I do not care
I'm
about
here
anything
for it.
else.
Yes.
I don't even care if Ciampa like I don't even care if it
he has
makes
to lose.
sense.
I don't think Walter's
No, but I
ever
don't
gonna
even
lose.
care if it makes sense.
No.
That he's
Nope.
I just want that match.
Like, out of context, just give me the match.
Well,
I don't even care.
And because, like, Ciampa's not UK at all, so, like, I don't even care.
And he would let Walter beat the hell out of him, and it would look amazing.
You know he would, yeah.
So they run down next week's show, which is going to include LA Knight's debut and the Theory Loomis match, obviously.
I want MSK to take the tag belt, so give me that soon, please. Thank you.
Well, that could be at the pay-per-view as well, probably, right?
I hope so.
Because there's less than a month, so any sort of big stuff, they're saving
Wesley's still injured, though, right?
I think by then he should be okay if it's just a broken hand.
Yeah.
It's usually like 4 to 6 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So main event, we get that the whole reason we shift our schedule this week was so that we could watch this match live, and because you get spoiled by things and didn't want to be.
I do usually, yes.
So the main event is Adam Cole versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. So the two start off really fast, and I sort of noted that this is the opposite of how the match last week that I was a little disappointed in, right? With, oh my God, who was it? Strong, right. Because again, you have these two incredibly fast workers just rolling around on the ground for the first half of it. So these guys,
put it like that, it sounds really stupid.
These guys do the opposite. They start off fast with rope running and trading of moves before the obligatory holds encountered. So they did get to the holds encounters, but they saved it for a little bit.
But not like right off the bat.
And I do really like that decision to start. And I'm not anti holds encounters. It's just at certain times it gets too much, and with certain guys that I know
you don't need
can fly around the ring and deliver amazing moves, I don't need it that much.
Right. It's not like we're getting Timothy Thatcher versus somebody else who does that.
Who does that kind of thing? Zack Sabre Jr.
Yes.
From our no
or
picture.
Josh Woods.
Back from our no picture-in-picture commercial break with Cole stomping Balor in the corner.
So that means it wasn't restaurant quality?
No, it was not. Low drop kick to Cole's face and a submission by Balor. Back elbow by Balor, but Cole pulls himself outside and runs him into the barricade fence. Back in the ring with a hard Irish whip to Balor.
It looks like it sounded like he said, because he said he pulled himself outside and then he runs into the barricade. It sounds like
Just himself. He didn't want any part of this.
It sounds like, when you say it really fast, like
Sorry.
He rolled out of the ring, or he like pulled out of the ring and ran into the barricade.
Balor drop kicks like it's 2K20 and there's some sort of glitch where he just starts running himself into the barricade.
Or like you run uncontrollably.
Balor drop kicks Cole's knee to shift the momentum. Chops, and Balor tries to work Cole's leg a little bit. Double stomp to Cole's midsection. Enziguri by Cole. Counter by Balor. And face lock elbow drop by Balor. Stomps by Balor, and Cole goes outside before hitting a pump kick. Cole sets up for the brainbuster on the steps, but Balor counters with a suplex onto the ramp. Both men are down as we head to another non-picture-in-picture commercial break.
Woohoo!
Back from the break with a forearm exchange by the two of them in the middle of the ring. Pump kick by Cole and an Ushigoroshi for 2. Panama Sunrise countered with a sling blade, but a missed coup de grace and a Cole super kick for 2. Crossface applied by Cole. Counters back and forth, a rope break for Balor. Balor is now selling his jaw from the last super kick. Clothesline by Balor, but a super kick to Balor's knee. Last shot for 2, and more selling of the jaw by Balor. Panama Sunrise for 2. And I just thought Cole's facial expressions are awesome. It's one of those little things, right, that separates him.
He's great at selling, and he's also great at selling people kicking out of his stuff.
And like the frustration he has that this isn't putting this guy
away. Or like
away.
when he needs to be absolutely shocked, he can do that. Like I remember one of my greatest examples of this is TakeOver Brooklyn 4 when Ricochet went for the springboard moonsault.
Right.
And he got hit with that dirty super kick, and then the brainbuster on the knee, and like you could see Cole, he's got his arms flailing, scrambling for the pin, and then like it is also amazing because the crowd, it's like 1, 2, and then when he kicks it, he's just like absolutely shocked, and I just remember that it was like awesome.
It's a small detail, but it's what makes a superstar, right? Is that ability? It helps the audience get into it. You really believe that he is just furious that he can't put this guy away.
And the crowd is just like going ballistic when he kicked out too.
We get the last shot attempt countered, and Balor sends Cole over the ropes to the floor. O'Reilly slowly approaches sort of where the crowd would be, approaching the barricade.
Yeah, in the one barricade where there's no plexiglass.
Right, so he's approaching Cole as Balor somersaults over the top onto Cole. We get a 1916 on the floor, and Balor rolls Cole into the ring and hits a big coup de grace.
Yeah, when he's about to set up for the
1916,
kind of like stares at O'Reilly.
Right. So he picks up the win here with the coup de grace. What did you think? Or sorry, I would say Kyle gets back in the ring. I'll finish that up first, I guess. Kyle gets in the ring and crouches beside Cole as Cole begs for mercy. Kyle blocks a low blow, kicks Cole, and attacks him with strikes. The attack continues continues.
Yeah, I just wrote he like relentlessly attacks Cole.
And O'Reilly throws Cole into the barricade and goes for a brainbuster on the steps as officials finally break it up briefly. But then the show sort of ends with O'Reilly chasing Cole up the ramp and Balor standing in the ring. So I think it's sort of saying that's probably what we're getting at TakeOver is Cole O'Reilly. Maybe it looks like as the camera pulls back, Cross is in the ring behind Balor.
Yeah, Balor, like before we see Cross, he's like, "What took you so long?"
Without even looking, which I thought was such a cool touch. Balor asks what took him so long, and the show is over.
I think
on the match?
You've got your night 1 set right there,
Yep.
right? And then I
Clearly.
think night 2 can be Balor, one of the other people.
Yeah, I think so too. So what did you think of the match?
I liked the match. It was good. I think that's about as good as a TV main event can get. I think I liked it better than
Minus the bit of a distraction finish though, right?
Yeah.
Even that, you had to have it. O'Reilly comes out for a second.
Yeah, but I think I liked it a little better here because it's a little more meaningful, I
True.
guess.
There is more history in it.
Right, and it's not like he even wanted to, or like was trying to distract him. I think maybe he knew it would distract him, but like he's just like coming out to like attack him. Anyways, I liked it better than O'Reilly and Balor from Remember New Year's Evil.
Right.
When they had the TV match, because I think this one was better for me. I thought it was good. I think the outcome. I think either way, I was like fine with the outcome. I would have preferred Cole to win, but I think this also makes sense.
Yeah.
And the possibilities with the 2-night takeover, you can really do whatever you want there, right?
It seems like there's things are falling into place, right? It looks.
Right.
I'm pretty happy so far.
I'm
I thought it was a very good match too, despite the minor distraction finish. It wasn't like a all the way distraction
it's not
finish,
like he
but was
came
still
out
there.
entering and like he just kind of walked up and he was just like.
I do like that it sets up 2 matches for TakeOver since there's not much time left to build. So Cole O'Reilly will be fantastic.
It probably technically sets up 3 matches.
And Cross Balor could be okay to very good, depending, right? Like, Balor's awesome. It's just a matter of how they want to do it with Cross. So yeah, I thought, what did you think of the show overall?
Honestly, it was kind of a letdown overall for me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
The women's title match was short and kind of unremarkable. Not necessarily bad, but wasn't that great either. Wasn't like outstanding or anything.
That's fair.
My phone just fell.
Nice.
The women's tag match was better than that, but still not great. And that's not even including the outcome. The decision to have Kind Gonzalez lose the belts to stupid Shotzi the same night they were awarded the titles, not winning the titles, awarded, was dumb. But we seem to be getting Shirai versus Gonzalez soon, so at least we got something good of that whole crap fest.
Right.
Jordan Devlin's promo was cool, and I am so excited for him next week. He might be my favorite in NXT UK, honestly. He is awesome. Either him or Walter.
Mm-hmm.
And when he faces Escobar, that should be a great match. If it's not, I'll be disappointed. Dunn versus Atlas is a fine squash, and Pete Dunne's kind of open challenge thingy could be cool. But I think he deserves more.
Yeah,
I think
too.
he, despite being not North American, would be an amazing North American champion.
Yeah, of course.
So
you don't have to be
with
from
him,
North America.
with him or Escobar or like someone else good that I can't particularly name right now.
Yeah.
You've got Roderick Strong.
Yep.
Roderick Strong. Even though he already won it, but I think he deserves like a good run with the title. I think you've got options for that division. And I think if you stop like putting in the back of these storylines, like what they're doing with Gargano right now, I think this title could really mean something. And like, if under the right person, it could be like I'm thinking Shinsuke Nakamura in New Japan with the Intercontinental title. Like,
right.
You could almost make it mean.
It was almost bigger than the main title at one point with Nakamura.
You could honestly do that if you find the right person. I think there's a lot of people. I think even Gargano himself could elevate the title if WWE let him.
He needs to get something going for TakeOver, right? Like, he really doesn't have anything.
Mm-hmm. I don't have much to say about Carter versus Lee because the match was basically non-existent as the DQ finish came pretty early, and this should have been used to make Lee look even better, and it was kind of lame for me. The tag match that we got, which was Grizzled Young Veterans versus Legado del Fantasma,
was nothing too.
Was similar because it was also short and insignificant because of the distraction roll-up. It came not too far into the match. It was longer, I think, than Lee and Carter, but not long enough for me to have much of an opinion. Imperium's recruitment attempts for Thatcher is kind of interesting and in a way makes sense. And when Ciampa said they weren't interested, Thatcher didn't really say anything, so like that's interesting. He either looked conflicted or like he was thinking it over.
Right.
I'm predicting a turn on Ciampa next week, I think, probably. The one match I really liked compared to the rest was the only one I was really looking forward to, which was the main event, Cole and Balor. Like I said, it was about as good as a TV main event can be in WWE, I think. And may have been better than the New Year's Evil match that I mentioned. I figured O'Reilly would be involved in the finish somehow, but it's fine as it progresses a great feud, and I'm excited for O'Reilly and Cole to face off. Cross is finally making sense by going after Balor, but it feels like he kind of should have done that already.
Sure.
Nonetheless, that will be a good match, I think. Overall the show was fine, but the main event was good, so I think like maybe a B show kind of.
Okay.
Maybe B minus, but
I thought the show moved really quickly, but it didn't feel manic like last week's to me. I thought the show did a good job adding clarity to a lot of the storylines for the biggest takeover of the year that's coming up. Match-wise, I thought the main event was really good, but not their best. Like, there's still another gear those guys can hit for sure.
And I don't think match-wise there's anything else that
I enjoyed the women's tag match minus the finish, and the EO Tony Storm match I thought was pretty good as well. Dunn Atlas was decent, but nothing really, and the Lee Carter and Grizzled Young Veteran matches were nothing. Segment-wise, Regal's announcements were well done, I thought. I loved seeing the Devlin, and I thought the Zoe Stark package was excellent. Everything else was solid, and there's nothing really bad. I actually enjoyed this show, I think, more than you did. I actually gave it a B+ this week. I have some minor issues with some of the stories, like the way I'm not too into, and the Thatcher Imperium, I'm still kind of like, really? There's this much thought going into this? But overall, I think NXT looks like they're in good shape heading into the Stand and Deliver pay-per-view on Mania week.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought for like a Wednesday night, this was like a A- and a B+. So I quite enjoyed both shows this week. So that's a good week for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's transition into our next segment, talk some more wrestling, but some non-WWE wrestling and some other stuff. So let's take a look at any other wrestling business.
Yeah.
Now, normally here is my Ring of Honor thing. So again, just reminding you, I did a Ring of Honor solo mission earlier this week, so you can check that out. Bottom line, I did not really enjoy the show. I think I ended up giving it something in the C range, so it wasn't anything exciting anyways. But if you'd really like to hear about it, you can go check that out on our feed anywhere you found this podcast. Also, we'll have that one. So, do you want me to start with Impact? Should that what I should do?
I only got my thing, so I don't really care who goes first. It's up to you.
Well, I just did most of the talking for NXT,
Yeah,
so
so-
why don't you go and I'll
Alright.
have a sip of my beverage and
So-
I'll join in.
Yeah, we got Pro Wrestling Rewind number 4, and the way I'm keeping track right now is just because we started on 31, which would have been number 1, so
Yep.
34 is number
Makes
4.
sense to me.
And I think I did a good pick. I just literally searched every full matches. It's one of the ones I got first because they put it up fairly recently.
Yes.
And y'all know it. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. The career versus streak match, which is WrestleMania 26,
Yeah, I hadn't seen this
2010.
in a long time.
And I didn't actually write it down. I forgot to, but a little bit of history for this. So Michaels and Taker had a pretty good match at WrestleMania 25, which I don't think I've seen yet, but so they had that, and basically Michaels was really close to winning there, I think. And so basically he's just like wants to get the win back, kind of, and so they were kind of telling the story at the Royal Rumble where like he was just desperate to win, and like even his elimination he was trying to hang on. Batista kind of like knocked off his hands, and he kind of like, and then so he even cost Undertaker the World Heavyweight title in the Elimination Chamber match to Chris Jericho, who was like one of his rivals, because I
Right.
think they feuded in 2008. So that's like how much he won the match, because obviously he couldn't get the title match, and so that was the way he provoked Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also offered up his career against the Streak,
Right.
just to really get Taker to agree to the match. And so I think it's also a no holds barred match, it seems.
So yeah, huge stakes for this match, right? Like the streak, which is a big deal at this point, and one of your all-time greats' careers. So pretty big stakes without
Right.
having a championship involved. Clever,
Right.
really.
So Undertaker runs at Michaels, who counters and hits corner chops in multiple corners. Michaels does that corner cell that he always does off the hammer throw, followed by the snake eyes, which is where he just has him in a power slam position, drops him face first on the top turnbuckle. Corner splash by Undertaker, and Old School, which is the rope walk and the smack on the back.
Right. Smack on the back. A clothesline, okay?
That's
a
not even a
devastating clothesline.
That's not even a clothesline.
Devastating.
That's a hit to the back, because like it's not like he's like clotheslining him. He's hitting him on the back.
Fair enough.
That's a back smack right there. Michaels is able to counter a choke slam, corner punch by Taker, but Michaels is able to counter a tombstone pile driver. Michaels tries to wrestle Taker down, and has to narrowly avoid another choke slam. Taker is able to avoid a sweet chin music. Michaels targets Taker's left knee in the corner, because that's a injury. I can't remember why.
Yeah, and it's that classic, you got to chop down the big man, right? Take away his base.
Yep. Corner punches by Taker. Taker clotheslines Michaels over the top rope. Taker looks to be lining up the dead man dive just over, like, where he just jumps over the top rope, but Michaels runs in the ring and takes at the knee. Taker fights back and sends Michaels out of the ring. Taker drives Michaels back first in the ring post. We all know his history with his back.
Right.
That's what put in his first retirement. Apron leg drop by Taker, signature move right there.
Classic.
Figure 4 leg lock by Michaels. Taker rolls over, and Michaels has to release because now the pressure's on him. Strike exchange. It seems to be a very mixed crowd reaction. Which makes sense. Mixed, sorry.
Yeah.
Chops by Michaels. Taker sends Michaels into the ropes, who fires back with the running forearm, and then later kips up. Choke slam by Taker for a 2 count. Michaels counters a tombstone into an ankle lock, which I thought was clever.
Yeah.
Taker kicks at Michaels to escape. Michaels clotheslines Taker over the top rope and a springboard crossbody off the apron, but Michaels is caught and he transitions into a tombstone pile driver on the outside. Taker rolls Michaels into the ring for a 2 count. Michaels counters the last ride into a face buster for 2. Taker counters an elbow drop. Taker puts Michaels in the Hell's Gate, but Michaels is able to flip over quick into a pin for a 2. Sweet chin music by Michaels for a 2 count after that. Taker avoids sweet chin music and hits the last ride for a 2 count.
Pretty big last ride, too.
Mm-hmm. Michaels is sent out of the ring, and Taker's taken apart the Spanish announce table. Michaels avoids the last ride and hits the sweet chin music, and Taker's now lying on the announce table. I wonder what will happen next.
Yeah. Not what I was expecting, actually. I told you, I was expecting the elbow drop through the table.
Michaels hits a moonsault through the announce table to the legs, and maybe on purpose.
That's what I was thinking here, right? Like, he'd been attacking the legs this whole time. And I think maybe it's on purpose. And if it is, that's an amazing touch. Like, he's intentionally moonsault onto the guy's legs, which is what you've been working the whole match. So if that was intentional, that is amazing detail. I liked it a lot.
Michaels rolls Taker into the ring and hits a sweet chin music for a great near fall. Taker counters the next sweet chin music attempt into a choke slam and hits a tombstone pile driver for another great near fall. Now the straps are down for Taker.
One thing that was annoying me here a lot, a note I had just as all this was going on, as Michaels is hitting the near falls, I have Michael Cole needs to stop yelling, "The streak is over!" on like every near fall when Michaels is going for the pin. There's a chunk in the middle where he's just yelling that on every pinfall, and it's really annoying.
Right. Taker tells Michaels to stay down as Michaels is trying to use him to get up. Michael does the throat taunt, kind of knowing it's over, kind of, and slaps Taker, and then he eats a tombstone pile driver for the win.
That is it.
And Michael's career
is over, quote unquote. And that was one of the things I said, was it kind of took away a little bit from this match, knowing that Michaels he was retired until the Saudi money got to the point where he was like, okay, I guess I can wrestle again, right? I don't know. Do you want to talk about what you thought first? It's your segment.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So I thought the match was really good. I think it did live up to the hype and praise I've heard over the years. I think the match would still hold up today.
I agree.
To today's standards, even though it's different, because it's not fast or spot-filled, but still amazing. And neither of these guys were really in their prime here, so that has to be commended here, that they produced an all-timer.
Yep.
Two all-timers.
Yep.
Michaels did a great job selling and also targeting Taker's leg throughout. The moonsault through the table is a really cool spot, and the ending was great and kind of poetic. I thought it was really cool, and a cool ending for Michaels' career. It is kind of ruined because Michaels had to return for that sweet, sweet Saudi money.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, it was a great match and it was an absolute classic. I think that's pretty much A+ stuff right there. I think.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how it was going to feel going back watching it.
I thought it was great storytelling.
It was
great match. No spot fest or fast pace needed. I think that was just quality pro wrestling.
It was what I said, like, it's not fast, but it's steady, right? Was the pace.
Right,
It's
it's
just
not
a
like
steady...
slow and plodding
No.
either.
I've said it before, and I thought I saw it here. Like, Adam Cole is the new Shawn Michaels for me, because Michaels sells exhaustion better than almost anybody, and frustration, right? And I really see
And
that
kickouts.
in Cole as well. And they're both kind of undersized, and they're both... I see so many
They both heavily
similarities.
use super kicks.
So yeah, this was the story basically of your unbeatable monster, right? But he's struggling to put down this smaller underdog who just refuses to die, especially on the biggest stage at WrestleMania. So you get this undersized, overmatched Michaels just refusing
That kind of
to
dynamic
die.
almost reminds me of Mox with Darby Allin, kind of like just like because you want him to stay down just so that
Yep.
he doesn't have to like beat the crap out of him.
And then Michaels has to come, because he's overmatched, he has to come with a strategy, and that strategy is to repeatedly take out Undertaker's legs to have a chance. It was a classic match, a testament, as you're saying, to selling for me, because both of these guys can sell. And I think maybe I've underrated Undertaker in that part, because I thought he did a really good job here as well. This wasn't about work rate, right? We've said that. It was about everything. It was storytelling. There were some really cool high spots. There were numerous near falls, some of which were believable. I love all styles of wrestling. I think there's room for all different styles. This was like a excellent WWE style match, right? Like, it's not a million miles an hour. There's not 1,000 high spots. There's not like a tower of tables set up for people to go through. There's a couple really high spots and just a really steady... It was more the drama and the story than the action, almost, even though the action's really good too.
Right, which sometimes it's not great, but like when coupled with like some decent action here,
Yep.
I think it works.
It was an A match for me as well. It held up really well, and I wasn't sure because I haven't seen it, and I'm kind of down on WWE main roster stuff, but there's no doubt that this was a classic match. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. All right, sir. Time to talk some Impact Wrestling as our last sort of order of business
From
in the
to not.
wrestling show world. Actually, I was kind of happy with this show, so let's talk about it.
Really?
So the show starts with a recap of the Good Brothers Finn Juice storyline, as well as the Purrazzo ODB situation. So two things I'm not super interested in to start the show, but it was just a really quick recap. So I liked last week's show quite a bit, so I was hoping for more of a continuation tonight. Striker reminds us that Sacrifice is this Saturday, so tonight, I guess, as Fire and Flava make their way to the ring.
Fire and Flava.
So we start out with Jazz with Jordan Grace versus Tasha Steelz. So Tasha mockingly applauds Jazz before they lock up. Jazz and Jordan Grace will challenge Fire and Flava for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships at Sacrifice. So grappling dominated the early moments of this match, with neither woman earning a sustained advantage until Steelz dropped her opponent throat first across the bottom rope. Steelz on offense for a decent stretch here. She seems to have improved, in my opinion. Her moveset now includes a Falcon Arrow, which she busted out here, which I haven't seen her do before.
Who?
Tasha Steelz.
Oh,
Not Jazz. Jazz eventually mounts a comeback, hitting strikes, clotheslines, a fallaway slam, and some sort of sit-out slam that looked a little sloppy, but the rest of it was okay. The finish comes when Hogan climbs onto the apron to just cause a distraction, obviously, but Jordan knocks her out.
Oh, when you say Hogan, I just think of
Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
So Jordan Grace knocks her off the apron as Jazz hooks in an STF and Tasha taps out. This match was really short. It wasn't as good as the openers have been lately on Impact, but it was actually better than I expected, because I find Jazz has generally lost a few steps. And even though I love Tasha Steelz, I don't think in-ring is necessarily her strength, but I do think she's improving. WWE offered her a job as a ref once upon a time, and I hope that she becomes a star wrestler just to sort of show them what they sort of missed out on. You know what I mean? We then get Gia Miller.
I wonder how you decide, like, oh, we want to recruit someone for a ref.
Right, we don't think she quite can do it in the ring, but we want her for a ref. I
wonder how you decide, like, who you want to recruit for ref.
I don't either, because I don't know if they didn't want to be a ref. Is that something, you know what I mean? Is that something like, okay, sure. I don't think so.
Or, like, does someone aspire to be a referee?
I don't know.
Or
maybe.
You just want to be around wrestling?
That's one way to be like, I realize I'm not going to be a wrestler, but I want to be around the industry, I guess. And there's not that many of them,
Hebner's
so
famous. And
you can work all over the place.
So is Mike Chioda.
So Gia Miller is then interviewing ODB about ODB's title opportunity at Sacrifice, which annoys me, but anyways. ODB talks about being a legend and how she's about to be a 5-time, and she calls it knocked up champion because she's so funny and edgy and vulgar.
Why? What is that?
like pregnant was knocked, is what the slang for knocked,
Ha 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 ha.
right? ODB said she's going to slap some respect into Deanna. Susan then shows up requesting a match with ODB. ODB accepts the match, and Susan says that she will be coming alone and she doesn't need anyone's help. So this was fine, but I have no desire to see a match between ODB and a woman pretending to not know how to wrestle. That's not exactly setting up a 5-star match for me, but I guess it's fine. Back to the commentary team, where D'Lo Brown tells us that Scott D'Amore has a huge announcement regarding Rich Swann versus Moose title match at Sacrifice.
Ooh, I wonder.
Stryker and D'Lo then run through the advertised segments for this week's show. Trey Miguel runs into the student named Sam that Sammy took aside last week at Miguel's wrestling school after, so I don't know if you remember, but Sammy invaded sort of Trey Miguel's training facility and was harassing one of the trainers, and then claimed that he came for this Sam wrestler guy, and he was sort of seeming to try and get Sam on his side and not work with Trey Miguel, I guess. So Sam, I forgot his last name. It comes up later. I forget what it is now. It's in my notes somewhere. We'll get there. He says that Sami Callihan is not as bad as everyone says he is. Sounds like an Austin Theory Loomis kind of thing.
Ha.
Trey says that everything that comes out of Sammy's mouth is a lie, and that no one knows Sammy more than him because he's fought Sammy in the past. Sam tells Trey that Sammy predicted Trey's exact response, and Sammy also predicted that Trey would be too much of a coward to accept a challenge from Sam. Trey tells Sam that he won't fight him, but Sam says that Sammy was right. Trey does lack passion. So of course you say that, you tell Trey he lacks passion these days. It just sets him off. So this makes Trey change his mind, and he'll beat the heck out of Sam as a message to Sammy tonight. I thought the idea of this was fine. Trey's not very good in promos, but he's light years ahead of this Sam kid who sounded horribly like wooden and just uncomfortable. That being said, I'm open to a new talent. He's young, and he has a sweet permed mullet like he's a mid-'80s wrestler, so I'm happy to give him a chance. And not everybody can be Eddie Kingston on the mic, right? So I'll give this kid a chance. Let's see what he can do in the ring against one of his trainers. It felt a lot like the NXT The Way Loomis kidnapping angle, right? Like both of them are just misunderstood dudes. But anyways, we get a back and forth promo.
Like, clearly not.
No. We get a back and forth promo package featuring Moose and Rich Swann, as these two will main event Sacrifice on Saturday. It was a good package, and I thought Swann in particular, I'm pretty hard on his promos a lot of the time here. I thought he sounded better than usual, and it should be a good match with very contrasting styles, right? You've got the big powerhouse in Moose and the small, flippy, fast guy in Swann, so I think it should be a good match. We then get a tag match with Rohit Raju and Mahabali Shera versus Beer Gun, which is Chris Sabin and James Storm. This match started off fast with Sabin and Rohit, like really good. These guys looked really good together. Rohit is, man, he's awesome. And people are still sleeping on this guy. He's not the same guy,
They're sleeping on him?
They're not the same like crappy guy we saw, sort of just a brand new wrestler he's really good, man.
Oh yeah, when we saw him, he sucked.
He's good in the ring and character-wise now. During the break, I actually kind of saw something in him even then. Out of that group, I thought he was the one.
Yeah, but Desi Hit Squad was just a dud.
During the break, Shera and Rohit double-team Sabin, and that continued as the show came back from commercial. Storm makes the hot tag and knocks Shera to the floor so he can focus his attack on Rohit. Sabin's back in, and a facebuster by Storm into a tornado DDT from Sabin for a 2 count. Shera and Rohit argue in the ring as Rohit wants Shera to hold Storm so Rohit can hit his running knee finisher. That leads to Shera being sent to the outside by Sabin with a kick from the apron before a sunset flip by Sabin into a backstabber by Storm, which actually looked pretty cool. Then right into a cradle shock from Sabin, and he pins Rohit for the win. So this was another short match, but it was pretty good, man. Sabin and Storm work really well together. They now have like multiple combo moves that they busted out this week. And Rohit and Shera looked pretty good too. Shera's still pretty limited, I think, and they kind of hit it well here. I don't like the issues between Shera and Rohit already because they've just become like a team a couple weeks ago, I think. I kind of like them as a tag team. And I think it could get Rohit out of the X division for a little bit if he just needs a break. He's been at the top of that division for so long now. Something new for him to do might be interesting. So I thought maybe them as a tag team would work. But overall, I enjoyed this match. It was a quick little sprint, but it was fun. And Rohit and Sabin and Storm all looked really good together. We then move on to Reno Scum. And Triple XL are shown bickering backstage in a couple of super mega enhancement teams here having a battle. Rosemary, Crazy Steve, and Black Taurus show up, better known as Decay, and Rosemary taunts all four men for losing to Decay in recent weeks. Rosemary jokes about AC making excuses about being afraid to hit a woman. AC tells Larry that they should go, and Triple X walk off. Rosemary proposes a Decay versus Reno Scum match for Sacrifice, and Reno Scum accept the challenge. Yay! Not a big fan of Reno Scum. After Reno Scum leave, Crazy Steve calls Scum and Triple XL a couple of freaks. There's nothing wrong with this per se, but it's a lower card group, and Triple XL and Reno Scum don't interest me pretty much at all at this point. I assume Decay is going to win this match, as they need to sort of be kept strong more than Reno Scum do. Reno Scum essentially are enhancement talent in this company, it seems, right now. We go to... Sorry, I need to adjust my seat. Violent by Design are backstage. Young tells Diener that he knows Diener will get through this, and this is only happening because Diener failed. So again, they're sort of violently punishing Diener for losing the match to Jake something. Young says that all of their healing must be...
Kind of like, Siley and Boa.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yes. All of their healing must be done through violence, and violence is the only thing that the disease understands. James Storm and Chris Sabin then show up to confront Eric Young, and thankfully Storm does the talking I made a note of, because Sabin is not believable talking at all.
Where's Alex Shelley?
Storm, that's a good point. He's been gone a long time now.
Like Alex Shelley,
I've forgotten about him.
It.
Storm says what Young is doing to Diener is wrong. Storm talks about how it feels bad when you work hard to get where you are in life and someone snatches that away from you. Storm says Young should know exactly how that feels, and Young is making Diener feel the same. Violent by Design attack and easily take Storm and Sabin out. Young yells that Storm and Sabin should stay out of their business as Violent by Design walks away. I actually kind of enjoyed this. It was a simple, straightforward way to set up a match, and James Storm's good on the mic, and he sounded good, and this confrontation makes sense with his character, right? He's known Eric Young for decades, probably. He doesn't think he's treating Diener fairly. He's going to go confront him about it, so I thought it made sense. But I do think that he and Sabin got taken out far too easily here, but I'm sure it's setting up something for the future. Then we get Brian Myers. He's backstage with Scott D'Amore. Myers says that Impact can avoid a lawsuit if they just fire Eddie Edwards. D'Amore says he learned in court that the person who spends the most time arguing is usually the person with the weakest case, and that Impact is willing to go to court with Myers because that's kind of what we do, is what he said. But D'Amore also reminded Myers that the real issue here is with Eddie and not Impact. We then get Trey Miguel versus Sam Beal. There's his last name, Sam Beal. Sammy comes out to introduce Sam Beal, and Beal's a pretty big kid who looks like he was basically plucked from the 1980s to me. He hits a couple of strikes before Trey takes over and locks in a submission for the win in literally seconds. Wow. Sammy uses his phone to teleport to the ring, like phone to turn off the lights, and then he's in the ring.
Because phones are able to do that
and
now,
Sammy's
as you know.
Magical somehow. As Trey approaches, and Sammy delivers a package pile driver to Beal, so he even turns on the kid that he brought there. So I guess this shows that Trey is passionate and intense now. I'm not sure I'm into this so far, but I was kind of when it started, so we'll see how it goes. It's clearly setting up a Trey and Sammy match, which could be good. But anyways, moving right along. Chris Sabin and James Storm are backstage. Sabin says he's sickened to see what Eric Young has become after all these years. Storm says they need to cut the head off the snake, and he's willing to go through EY's followers. So we need to cut off the head of the snake, but we should face not the head of the snake first. Anyways, Storm then challenges Violent by Design to a match at Sacrifice. Jake Something shows up and offers to be in Storm and Sabin's corner in order just to make sure that Eric Young doesn't interfere. Storm's really good on the mic. Jake actually sounded decent here too, and he sometimes doesn't. And this is the amount of speaking they should have for people that they're trying to develop, like Jake Something. You baby step them into longer sort of promos, I think. The next segment is the weekly Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone AEW sort of promo. This week it was honestly just a recap of Revolution and a preview of Dynamite. He did mention Omega is terrible at making exploding rings, and he did acknowledge again a bit later. And really, other than Khan saying that, the segment had nothing of note. It was honestly like, here's what happened in Revolution, here's what coming up, and by the way, Omega sucks at making exploding rings. And then it was moved. So probably one of the weaker ones they've done. They weren't trying to so much entertain there as just remind us of what happened at
I like
Revolution
it better
and
when
push the show.
it's not just an actual ad.
Yeah,
Like...
this one was, they're starting to sort of not be as funny. I don't know. That was okay.
Mm.
D'Amore leaves a room backstage so that the Good Brothers and Finn Juice can sign their contract. So he leaves, leaving those two there. They agree to start drinking shots of the Good Brothers brand of whiskey. Obviously, they have to get some product placement of their own crap to sell in there.
Why do they have their own whiskey?
That's just, they have everything that's their own because they can sell whatever they can to make more money. Good Brothers act like 15-year-olds and belittle Finn Juice into taking shots of whiskey. The third round, so basically
like peer pressure?
Yeah, the third shot they're going to take gets thrown in the Good Brothers' face, and obviously it escalates into a brawl. This is lame. It was okay, I guess. The Good Brothers, I guess, are cool because they bully people into binge drinking. I have absolutely no reason to care about Finn Juice. I was excited when they were coming, but Impact has done nothing thus far to tell me really anything about them. I do respect them somewhat for hating the Good Brothers, as I find 57% of the Good Brothers insufferable. Do you get it? 57%? Because Gallows is bigger than Anderson. And I actually went and looked up their weights, and it's literally 57%. Gallows is 57% of their total body weight. And I dislike him very much. So I thought I was funny and clever.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
I don't know why you need that much research.
I find 57% exactly by their listed weights of the Good Brothers insufferable. Now we get to the thing that makes this show worth watching. It's two of my favorite people getting a match together. Ace Austin versus Chris Bay. I have in my notes, this should be awesome. Please let them have some time. So this match, I'm going to tell you right now, I loved it. So I've got way more detail than I normally do in a TNA match, Impact match. It's almost like I've talked about this. Like,
you love calling them TNA.
Like it's well, I've known that for way longer. So anyways, Austin sets up a chair for Fulton on the ramp. And almost gets counted out while he's doing it. I was assuming that chair is going to come into play at some point. We get holds and counters, but the good kind to start, so they're doing it quickly. There's a variety of moves, quick transitions, etc. Austin retreats to the corner after getting a rope break. Austin then takes control with knees, suplexes, and other things for a 2 count. We get a sliding dropkick through the ropes by Bay, followed by a senton over the rope to the floor. Slick dodges by Austin on the apron, and he hits a Fosbury flop to Bay. Back in the ring, a nice triangle springboard kick to the face is what he calls the triangle kick by Bay for 2. Code red after a smart fake kick by Chris Bay for a 2 count. Jumping knee, curtain call, springboard senton by Austin for 2, which was a really cool combo. He misses the fold, and a battle of near misses in the ring, in the middle of the ring for a little bit here. Bay is up top but gets caught by a spinning kick from Austin. Battle on top until Austin flips backwards and lands really hard back first on the apron before a commercial. It looked really painful, and I almost felt like I don't know if this was a scheduled commercial or they just needed to take one because it looked like he hurt himself. Back from the commercial with a strike exchange from their knees in the ring. Drop toe hold into the second rope from Austin, followed by a high kick in the corner, which was really nice. A pinwheel leg drop by Austin for 2. Head scissor attempt off the top by Austin, and Bay hits a diving clothesline off the top. Art of Finesse countered, but that gets countered into a vertebreaker for a believable near fall as Austin just barely kicks out. Outside in DDT by Chris Bay, and Austin rolls away from the Art of Finesse. TJP comes out and sits in a chair on the ramp, and Austin is distracted as Fulton sort of chases TJP away. And that's just enough distraction for Bay to hit a cutter, followed by the Art of Finesse.
Isn't the Art of Finesse a cutter, though?
Yeah, yes, but it's the springboard backwards cutter. So he hits a regular cutter first, and then he hits his
RKO.
springboard. So man, I love this match. These guys have amazing chemistry, and
even a match you like though has to have a scurry finish.
A little bit of a distraction finish, right? This match was non-stop. This is the best evidence of what I've been saying on this program for months. These are the guys, and maybe Rohit, that you need to just focus on. They're the future. No offense, you're not a major promotion Impact. Right now, you have the opportunity to make stars, and sure, they're going to end up leaving your company, but that's how things work. I think that your best chance at growth might be to appeal to wrestling fans that don't watch your product now. I don't think you're going to get anybody who's not a wrestling fan, right? So target the wrestling fans. If wrestling fans hear on the internet or whatever about matches like this between guys they probably don't know very well, they might check this out. Like if I just heard, I'm a big wrestling fan, but I don't follow Impact, and I hear, man, these two guys, these young guys put on a heck of a match. And I'm like, I don't really know anything about them. Maybe I'll check it out, right? The tough part for Impact is then keeping these people once they check it out. Anyways, this match was awesome. Everybody should go try and find it. I was trying to find a full version to send to Jack. I couldn't find one, but it's a really strong match by two guys that should be the future of this company. We then get the best Swingers Palace segment, I'm happy to report, that we've ever had, because 95% of it is just an interaction between Josh Alexander and TJP. Basically, TJP's in the casino and Alexander came in there to find him. Basically, however TJP looks at it, Alexander should be next in line for an X Division shot. And this division, I was just thinking about it, is pretty hot right now. This is now my thing in Impact, right?
This is what the North American title
should be. And what the women's division, or the Knockouts division, was when I started watching this, right? You've got Bay, Austin, Alexander, TJP, and Rohit. Say what you will about TJP, and I do. He's amazing in the ring. So that's a solid 5 guys right there to head up this division. And honestly, this segment was fine. The casino was absolutely just a backdrop for these guys to talk while they stood there. So I was totally fine with it. The first time I've been fine with a Swingers Palace segment. Rohit is then shown berating Mahabali Shera backstage. Shera basically grabs Rohit by the neck and face and pins him to the wall. Shera yelled, "I don't owe you anything. Do you understand?" He drops Rohit and then walks away. So I would have liked this, but not now. This is too soon, right? They just became a team recently. I don't think they need to be teasing dissension already. It made Rohit look kind of weak, which I don't love, but I guess we'll see where it goes. We then get ODB versus Susan. Yay! So excited. Basic stuff, believe it or not. And at one point, Susan pours out ODB's flask. How dare she?
What?
Well, because the professional wrestler brings a metal tin of liquor to the ring. It's ODB. She got to be drinking. She's like the Good Brothers. Midsection.
Or like Sandman.
Yep. Midsection kick and Samoan drop for the ODB victory. Susan did almost nothing in this. ODB hit her usual stuff. This was really just an enhancement match to make ODB look strong going into Sacrifice. Kimberly and Deonna Purrazzo come out and attack ODB after the match, but Jazz and Jordan come out to help. We get a big spine buster by Grace to Lee, and Fire and Flava show up and hit their signatures to Grace and Jazz. Actually, this part after the match was cool and more entertaining than the match by far. Fire and Flava looked cool here, and I liked the heels kind of standing tall at the end of this. So we get the following matches are for Sacrifice, which is tonight. Deonna Purrazzo versus ODB for the Knockouts title.
You gonna watch?
Don't care. Might check out some of it, yeah. Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz versus Jordan Grace and Jazz for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers in a Hold Harmless match.
I looked up the term. I think it's basically an unsanctioned match.
I think it's just like a no DQ
I'll double
or whatever.
check.
Joe Doring and Diener versus James Storm and Sabin. That might be okay. Reno Scum versus Decay.
Yeah, it's basically like Impact, wouldn't be like responsible for anything.
Right.
So it's basically like an unsanctioned match. Like they're not sanctioning it, but like so that they're not responsible.
There'll be weapons and plunder and blah blah blah.
It's basically what we're supposed to get, like also with Rosa and Baker.
Right.
But yes, that's what it is.
Tennille Dashwood and Caleb with a K versus Havoc and Nevaeh. TJP versus Ace Austin. That should be a fun match for the X Division Championship. The Good Brothers versus Finn Juice for the Tag Championships. And the main event, Rich Swann versus Moose for the Impact World Championship, as well as the TNA. So really, I'm looking forward to the main event of Swann and Moose. I would watch TJP Ace Austin. Everything else is kind of underwhelming to me.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'll probably end up checking out
from
a good,
what I've
good chunk of
seen,
it.
it doesn't look
strong, no.
No.
But sometimes the matches deliver, right? So I'll probably check it out at some point. Scott D'Amore is then shown in his office with paperwork, but Moose interrupts and demands to know the big news first, and he calls D'Amore out. So he and whoever was in his office, because you can just see the sort of the shoulder of whoever D'Amore is talking to, they get up and leave the office. So Moose is ranting in the
Rich
ring, waiting for them
Swann?
to show up, and he's talking about he's going to hold up the show, even though this is the last segment. But anyways,
He doesn't know that.
D'Amore comes out and gets into the ring with Moose. Before he'll make his announcement, he wants to call Rich Swann to the ring, and Stryker is critical for this. Is critical of this move, and I agree. Stryker's kind of saying like, why are you bringing them like your main event together when you know there's a good chance like Moose is going to attack and probably injure Swan? So he's kind of like,
Right.
as the promoter of this company, why are you putting them together
Go
before
ahead,
the
guys, and
pay-per-views?
brawl.
Right. So Moose has been claiming to be the TNA champ for a year, and it bothers D'Amore. 2 world champions is one too many, and both belts are on the line in a unification match. So I get what he's saying, but it's a made-up belt.
Until like recently.
Right. And by doing this, you're making it credible while saying it's not, right? So this belt doesn't matter, it's not credible, but I'm going to make it credible for this match, sort of thing, which I thought was a bit weird, but I get what they're doing. They need to get rid of that belt, I think. The winner of this match will then face Kenny Omega, and we'll find out Saturday. And Impact has just broken the internet, says Stryker, and I'm like, easy, big fella, because you
Right.
know
It's just like, well,
but it's Stryker is so like everything's so dramatic for him. Like, oh, we've just broken the internet with this amazing announcement.
now
No, you haven't.
I want Moose to win because that'll be a better match. But
won't.
either way, Omega's losing.
Omega's losing.
Or Omega's winning.
Yes, I
Why
would
did
agree
I
with
say
that.
that? Omega's winning.
So I thought this was a decent segment, but much kind of like NXT. Neither of these announcements were particularly shocking if you watch the show or follow the product at all. And as well AEW, right? Like you kind of get the idea that this is where this is going. So the final shot, which I thought was actually really cool, is Callis on the phone with Kenny, and all he says is, "I just heard, and it's just as we planned." So again, like this is all part of his plan, right? So to get the collector as many belts as possible. So I thought that was a very cool end to the show. It made it feel kind of big time somehow, like there's something big gonna happen. So
Right, it feels like wrestling's kind of big now because it's like everything's kind of connected.
Right.
Outside WWE.
Yes.
Like maybe they even plan for him to take when Ibushi unifies the 2 IWGP titles. Maybe Omega's gonna be gunning for that. Like maybe it's all because like Callis has ties now. He's been in New Japan before, so he has ties there. He like
AEW,
runs
Impact.
and now he has ties in AEW. So and Omega's already got the AAA title. So Omega and Callis have like the means and like kind of, I don't know, like the motive to like they can do this if they really want to.
Right.
And I think I honestly do want him to take the IWGP title too, because that would be cool.
I highly doubt that'll happen, but at least
But,
they
like,
can build to it, right? If they want to. I don't know. We'll
like
see.
if they wanted to, I think they 100% could.
Yep. So I actually quite liked this show for the second week in a row, I'm happy to say. Wrestling-wise, the opener wasn't great, but the Beer Guns tag match was really good. The Austin Bay match was amazing, I thought. ODB Susan was weak. And the Bay Austin match was good enough for me. It brings up the average of this show significantly. Segment-wise, I liked almost everything and had zero issues with Swingers Palace for the first time ever. So I would say this was a pretty entertaining wrestling show, and I gave it actually a B+ for the second straight week, so good job,
Wow.
Impact. Right? Okay, well, that ends all of our wrestling reviews. Brings us to our final segment of every show, which is where Jack's going to take a few minutes to update us on the world of wrestling figures, and that is Figuring It Out with Jack.
Yeah. So the first thing is the Blood Brothers 2-pack AEW ringside exclusive. They brought it back, so it's back on back order. So it's got the bloodied Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes.
I was going to say, who's that again? But yeah, then it came
Cody
to me.
Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes based on Double or Nothing 2019.
One of the bloodier matches in a while.
It is pretty cool.
Yep.
So if you want it and you missed out on it, go get it. I definitely would. Maybe if it's still around, I'll put that on my birthday list for sure.
Nice.
So we got some figure reveals this morning. I was really excited, and boy, was I disappointed.
And then disappointed.
There was hardly anything in what they did. The majority of it was good. So the majority of it was bad. The only really decent thing here was the new Top Picks line revealed. I would say it's Top Picks 2021, but they already did that line with like a re-released Roman and Fiend. I think it was. Yeah, they and like also the re-released Drew McIntyre, and the only new one was Kofi Kingston. So maybe this is like 2021.2 or 2022, even though we're still in the beginning of 2021. The
Right.
way they release these, it's because this line is supposed to be just a way to get top stars out or like popular people out. So I think they should just not go by year so that they can release multiple year if they want to.
That would make
just call
sense.
like top picks number whatever, you know?
Yep, that would make sense.
So I don't know. So the series includes Rey Mysterio from Royal Rumble 2019, and this is like, it's actually a new Rey Mysterio. I think it looks really smart. It's a black and yellow one. It's a nice look. It's got the same formula as the Rey Mysterio I got from SmackDown 1000, the Elite 72.
Right.
That I got on my birthday.
Yep.
Same like sculpt with the mohawk mask, but it looks really cool. I actually really like it. It's probably the only figure in this whole reveal that I really like.
Nice.
Then we got Drew McIntyre from Royal Rumble 2020. He looks cool. It's just basically another generic Drew McIntyre with the stern head scan. And he's got the WWE title. Doesn't even have the entrance coat, so that's fun. We got John Cena, Dr. Thugonomics. He looks cool, if I'm being honest. Just the head scan's not good.
Right.
So, I mean, that one's good, just not the head scan. And you get a re-released figure, as always, because this line wouldn't be what it is without a re-release. You get Roman Reigns, which is an Elite 84 re-release, which is the head of the table with the shirt and the whatever. So that's fine, whatever. But then we got Basic 120. That's been revealed, and oh boy, this is bad. So we got Pete Dunne in black and yellow. So I'll talk about the whole series in a second. Then we got Shawn Michaels from Crown Jewel 2018, so Bald Michaels, woohoo. And I saw one of the comments on the post, I put out, and someone's like, wow, Adam Pearce figure, yeah, because it does look pretty similar to Adam Pearce, if I'm being honest.
Right, that makes sense.
It just
I could see that.
Yeah.
It didn't look great.
It did not. Talking about great, sarcasm, we got Edge in like that olive green, Get Grit shirt, and I will get to that one in a second. We got Karrion Kross, just standard. He's got a different head sculpt rather than the snarling one. It's just a stern one.
Mm-hmm.
Does not look good, actually. And we got Scarlett in like all black. And if you were to pick a figure that's like the epitome of basic, it's this figure. It's got like a kind of a weird looking skin, and it's just a figure painted all black. Like,
which is interesting because she wears like elaborate gear and costumes.
Right. I think she has worn this, but like it's the most basic figure ever. And then the chase variant is Scarlet in an attire. I would like to say just more cleavage.
Sure.
Also does not look too good. So we got the worst one of the bunch is easily Edge, because one, he's got a painted on shirt, and the olive green almost looks skin tone, so it looks weird. And then they just used like a normal body mold and painted over it, because usually they have like a special mold for like shirts and tops where like they don't have the belly button and
right.
Like the abs are a little less defined, but like they literally just painted over a normal body. And then they got like these pants I think they might have used for Baron Corbin basic way back, and they're like skin tight, and it just does not, like, minus the head scan, this does not look like Edge. Like, it just looks horrible. And then, so let's go to Shawn Michaels from Crown Jewel. One, I did not want this attire at all, and two, the head scan just looks like,
and no hair.
And like, what is that expression? Like, it just looks horrendous. And then Karrion Kross, who looks fine until like the head scan, it just looks kind of off. It just looks weird and just does not look good. And then Scarlett's heads look weird, and then her attires are just so not good. And then Pete Dunne, which is my favorite of the set. Even this one has issues, because like, one, you reused a head scan from the Elite, which was like a way back, like right. Elite 75, which is not too long ago, but still long enough you could have done a new head. And then also they used the same body mold that they used for Michaels and Edge, so like, again, they did not use the non-belly button one, and they painted on the singlet, so it's not even like sculpted on.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this one just feels kind of lazy to me.
Yeah, it sounds like a lazy crop.
Yeah, this whole series just is really not great. This feels like kind of a garbage series to me. Did not love it.
Too bad.
Next we got the Wreckin' Kickout Ring. That's what it's called. I
Amazing.
promise. I'll show you it later because it's interesting. So it's basically, it's one of the standard rings, right? Like the small ones.
Yeah.
It's got like out on the one side peeping out, it's like a ring bell shaped button, and you can push that down and it like pops out a middle section. Because it's for like an extreme kick out or something, because it's called the kick out ring. And you also got a crane you can attach to one of the ring posts for like a ladder match, and you also get a WWE title, even though there's no ladder, but you get a red table for some reason. So it's very weird, and I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it's just questionable.
Yep.
And then the last thing is a little bit for New Japan Series 3. So I hope they figure out their crap
Yeah.
soon, because Jay White is going to be in that series.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
That's exciting.
Except for the fact that it might be bad.
It might be. Maybe that's the first one they'll get right.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
That's literally the only thing that's kind of good.
Cool. That's everything this week?
Yeah. I heard there might be some surprise on Tuesday, so hopefully they reveal 86 and give me my damn Thanos Rollins, because I'll pre-order that on the spot.
Fair enough.
If it's not Thanos Rollins, then I'm not.
Heard a lot about this Thanos Rollins. My goodness.
I'm not pre-ordering crap if it's not Thanos Rollins.
Sounds good. Well, that brings us to the end of episode 34. Another solid week of recapping and talking about wrestling for almost 3 hours as we approach the end here. So we'd just like to thank anybody that's given us a bit of their time this week to check this out. Feel free to like, follow, share it, subscribe, whatever you need to do. We appreciate the support. If you want to contact us, we for sure will get back to you and probably mention you in episode 35. I don't know if we have any bonus episodes planned this week, but you never know, so just keep an eye out, and we may release something midweek again, you never know. If not, we'll definitely be back here next Saturday for episode 35, and we hope that you can all join us then. And until then, take care, everybody.